All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first HSSE Esports Tournament, co-hosted by the Media Club. Today, my name is Andrew Cho, and I'll be one of the commentators for this game, which will be FF15 versus Go Next.
And hi, my name is Yoon, and I'll also be the commentator for this game as well.
So far, right now, we're just preparing the tools for the draft picks, and we're going to try to get this pick and ban phase as soon as possible and optimally by 7 p.m. And like we're looking at this team right now, Yoon, and I see that one of the big differences I see is the red side, right? There's a Platinum 3 player, and I think he's going to be the X factor of that team, and I think that if the left side, if the blue side doesn't really keep up and to really consistently stop the carry potential of the Platinum player, I think I feel like just by the tier differences, red side is going to win.
Yeah, that's true. Just looking at both sides, the tier difference there already is going to be a huge factor in the gameplay. And what's a little surprising to me was that the Platinum guy is playing jungle this time. When I looked at his solo queues and all the games that he played so far, his main position and main lane was top. And now looking at it as jungle, I think their perspective was to kind of as a jungle try to have impact on all top, mid, and bot, so that he can kind of act as a leader to kind of lead the entire team to victory. But I'm not really sure how this is gonna turn out because I've never seen him play any type of jungle champions, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, just for discretion, I think we're probably going to use both English and Korean, right? Just for the sake of comfort.
Yep, sure.
And so I'm just saying because as a jungler's perspective, right? I think that 롤은 라이너 게임이야. 롤은 라이너 게임이기 때문에 정글이 아무리 잘해도 라이너가 솔킬에서 3번, 4번 따이잖아? 그러면 정글 감수성이 터져가지고 정글이 캐리를 못해. 아무리 라인을 풀어줘도.
맞는 말이긴 하지. 그러니까 플래티넘 정글이어도 이게 확실히 한쪽에 있으면은 반대쪽은 당연히 영향을 못 주는 게 확실하기 때문에 이게 정글러는 이제 최대한 이제 예를 들어서 바텀 게임을 한다. 그러면 이제 탑 쪽에서 좀 많이 살을 주고 이러는 픽을 정해야 될 것 같고 반대로 오케이, 이제 그러면은 밴 픽이 곧 시작될 것 같은데 일단 FF15하고 GoNext 둘 다 어떤 전략을 가져왔는지 좀 궁금하긴 해. 뭐 요즘 챔피언이 뭐 나올 것 같아 혹시?
솔직히 나는 그냥 제일 기대되는 건 이 정글이지. 왜냐면 플랫 3이고 티어가 제일 높으니까 캐리를 해야 될 거 아니야. 그러니까 내가 지금 오피다지지에서 보고 있거든. 내가 최근에 뭐 카스스 뭐 이런 거 하더라고. 근데 카스스가 좋잖아. 왜냐면 초반에 왜냐면 요즘에 룬메아리가 좋거든. 룬메아리 정글 챔피언이. 그래서 룬메가 나오고 이게 무난하게 3코어, 2코어까지 떠도 카서스 궁으로 한 1에서 2인분 정도는 할 수 있기 때문에 카서스를 가져오는 게 나는 오른쪽 고넥스트지. 고넥스트 팀한테는 아주 좋을 것 같고 일단 마스터 2를 밴했는데 일단 정글 위주로 밴하는 게 낫겠지. 블루사이드에서.
당연하지. 뭐 고넥스트가 확실히 플래티넘 정글이니까 캐리 포텐셜도 제일 높고 성장 기대치가 높은 챔피언들을 밴하는 게 맞는 거겠지. 근데 오늘 케인을 밴을 하네? 여기서 칸이 케인을 많이 하나 보고 역시 케이틀린을 밴하네. 케이틀린 역시 현재 원딜 라이너 중에서도 가장 OP 챔피언이기도 하고.
근데 나는 이제 밴이 약간 I think it's a waste because if you're blue side, you're picking first, and if you're going to pick the most OP champion, then you should have the champion pool to play Caitlyn. I think 그게 좀 아쉽지 그 밴픽 상대가. 왜냐면 우리가 블루 사이드면 난 당연히 캐틀린을 갖고 오는 게 나은데 이제 블리치가 나왔고 블리치 밴하는 게 또 맞지. 왜냐면 저 티어한테는 그랩을 이제 당할 확률이 더 높기 때문에 이제 그걸 방지하기 위해서.
그리고 또 블리치가 또 이제 병수 창출에 매우 좋은 챔피언이기 때문에 이게 아무리 밀릴 때도 이제 그랩 한 번이면 이게 게임이 뒤집어질 수 있는 상황이 많이 나온단 말이야. 그래가지고 아무래도 이 블리치 크랭크를 밴하는 게 솔직히 말해 좀 안전하게 가겠다라는 그런 생각인 것 같아.
일단
밴픽이 좀 오래 걸리는데 아트록스를 밴을 하는 거 같네. 근데 요즘 말해서 솔직히 아트록스가 그렇게 좋은 챔피언은 아니잖아. 약간 아트록스 카운터가 좀 많이 지금 좋아지는 그런 메타이기도 하고 피오라, 카밀 뭐 이 두 챔피언만으로도 지금 벌써 아트록스에 조금 카운터 칠 수 있는 챔피언이어서 아톡스가 그렇게 좋을까라는 생각이 들긴 하는데 솔직히 말해서 이번에 궁 버프 되기도 하고 이제 체력 회복력이 급격히 올라갔기 때문에 아무래도 이제 가트록스가 후반 가서는 이제 좀 많이 안 죽고 중무 나오면 이제 좀 어렵단 말이야. 그래가지고 그 밴하는 게 뭐 좋은 판단일 수도 있지. 근데 한번 이제 밴픽 봐야겠다. 칼리스타를 밴하기도 하네. 원딜이 칼리스타를 좀 많이 하나 보긴 하네.
Okay, so I guess we'll just see what FF15 is going to pick. What are they? Jax.
Okay. Speaking Jax,
I think Jax is a good flex pick because a lot of like I think lower tier players also play jungle Jax. So I think jungle Jax is okay because like it's really good for a scaling comp, but I think it's going to be a top Jax. And I think that our Galio pick might be really good. It's just Galio is easily counterable. I really kind of see Galio as more of a counter pick to like AP champions. But if you can pick something like an 80 champion, then Galio can't really do anything. But I guess Galio is good for late roaming potential. So maybe Galio can be a good pick if you're going to try to do more of a roaming comp. Like for example, like a Camille, like or maybe like a more team fight oriented, something like a Camille.
Yeah.
Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser, okay. Okay, so we already see that the mid and top champions are both AP. So I'm probably guessing that jungle has to go an AD champion.
Of course, yeah.
But which is I'm probably expecting Graves for the Go Nexus jungle because Graves is just probably the most OP AD jungle champion nowadays. So it seems like they're trying to go with an ADC pick here with Ashe. Yeah, Ashe is a really good pick for just trying to support all the top and mid side, with the alt and the E. So
I personally believe that a mid pick would be better here, just to counter Galio, because Go Next might be able to ban potential counters to Galio's like potential AD mid champions. But I mean, it's also not bad to just pick the bottom lane first phase. And I really think Ashe Nautilus is an okay comp just for the early game as well, because just Ashe and Nautilus's utility is so good for team fighting and just really holding the lane.
Okay, Go Nexus jungle, he picks Olaf. Yeah, but a lot of people think that Olaf is not very good at during the late games. But once Olaf starts growing, it's really easy for Olaf just to snowball that. And with Mordekaiser and Galio, who are gonna be both taking the role as a dealer but also as a tanker, it's gonna be really hard for the opponents to kind of penetrate the top mid and jungle side.
Yep. So I also think that an Olaf pick is good here because if you ult in, right? If you ult in, try to kill the Ashe, then Galio can also help support with the ult. Also, just with Mordekaiser's ult to maybe Jax or any other carry lanes, might be a really good pick here. And they seem to ban Ahri, Go Next. And
I'm not really sure about that.
Maybe the mid laner plays a lot of Ahri.
But picking Galio, it's gonna be really hard for Ahri to kind of push the mid side.
True.
Against Galio, so I'm not really sure about that ban pick, but we'll see how this goes. And it seems like Go Next is banning Set.
Yeah, I feel like
pretty interesting.
I feel like Go Next has to play some sort of like team fight and also like a Turchin drop in a way, because Galio can also support that. Olaf is also one of the champions that has to go in. Mordekaiser can also help that factor by just making the team fight immediately into a 4v4. I think that's why ideally Go Next should be able to play. It should be playing that Torchin drop, and we'll see. But that last pick, I don't think that last ban really went through. We'll just see about that.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of had some discussions and could not come up with a consensus. Okay, they're picking. Is this gonna be a mid Nautilus?
Is he Doenby? Yo, he's Doenby.
But talking about mid Nautilus or top Nautilus, like when Nautilus is actually a pretty good
Orianna. Okay.
Of course. Yeah,
like I think Orianna is a decent just pick for just team fight, and I feel like I can see that both teams are trying to go to more of a team fight oriented comp with Orianna's ult, Ashe's ult, Nautilus's ult. And on Go Next's side, there's Galio's ult, Mordekaiser's ult, Olaf's ult, and they picked Ezreal. I think Ezreal's pretty good champion because of his mobility. Can also just kind of ease, like I think Ezreal just throwing his Q and abilities at the back probably going to make him. And I think one of the biggest importance for Go Next is just to keep Ezreal healthy.
Okay, it seems like FF15 is going with Jungle Jacks and Top KO with that pick. Well, obviously, Top KO has an extremely high carry potential during late games, but it's going to be a concern about whether Mordekaiser is going to be able to kind of give early game pressure to KO so that, KO wouldn't be able to go to FF15 won't be able to kind of delay the game until the late game phase. And it seems like Go Next is picking Leona as a support, which is pretty good against Nautilus. So, what do you think about the overall comp then here?
Well, I think that I think it feels like it feels like a battle between two swords. So it's like a 창과 창의 싸움이라고. That's what I think. And I think it's just the better what would I call it? I guess the better team fight, like the people that can make the better team fights, just strategize well, try to get the most objectives, try to scale the most. I think they're going to be the winners. And so far, I feel like if Olaf's able to kind of take advantage of Jax's weak early game, and Mordekaiser just tries to like really pressure Kale early on and try to kind of create that 1 item, 2 item difference from the early game, I think Go Next has a higher potential to win. But we also see that Ashe's ult, Nautilus's ult, Orianna's ult are all X factors to this game, as well as Kale's ult. So if Kale's able to scale well, I also see that FF15 might have the potential to win as well.
But go ahead. Just look at the team combo overall. Like, Go Next has picked all the champions that is only going to focus on Ashe and Orianna. Looking at Mordekaiser, looking at Galio, looking at Olaf. Once Olaf just turns on his ult and goes in, and Galio also ults on Olaf, like it's gonna be hard for Ashe and Orianna to both survive. And also with Mordekaiser taking out the important characters like Ashe, Orianna, or Kayle. Like it's gonna be really hard for FF15 to kind of win during like team fights, especially during Dragons or Baron phase. So we'll see how this goes. But I feel like Go Next definitely has a stronger team comp overall and team fight. So yeah.
Yeah, just a final point here. I think Mordekaiser, one of the reasons why me as a jungler really like Mordekaiser is because Mordekaiser can go in, ult the jungler, and allow me to actually have an easier smite timing, or help me like steal the dragon or bigger objectives. So I feel like Mordekaiser can be a really good factor for just this game in terms of objectives, and also just how OP his passive is. I think that Mordekaiser has a really big burden. And if Mordekaiser can't do well, and if he allows Kayle to scale, then I think it's GG. And I also feel like one more note is if Mordekaiser can't really do well, then the whole damage is kind of DPS is relied upon Ezreal. And if you can't, and if FF15 really does a good job trying to cut out Ezreal early in the fight, I think that Go Next really lacks the damage, while FF15 have potentially four sustainable DPS dealers, such as in Jax, Ashe, Orianna, and Kayle. Oh, they're thinking Vladimir instead of Kayle. Yeah, I feel like the same goes, because Vladimir is also a scaling champion, and if Mordekaiser can't really take advantage of Vladimir's weak early game, and if you give him that proto build, if you give him that like 2 item, 3 item, 3 item advantage, I think that FF15 can have the potential to win. But then also an X factor is also their tier differences, right? We see that the mid laner is a gold player, the jungler is a platinum player. And I feel like that difference in tier can also factor into who wins.
Yeah, but Orianna is a really good champion when you try to go 50-50 during laning phase. So I think Orianna pick was okay, considering that the opponent's mid is a mid. But it seems like they're going with mid Mordekaiser and tap Galio. Okay, that's an interesting position. Okay.
Mid Mordekaiser, top Galio, huh? Like,
but I'm not really.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I personally doubt that decision because knowing that Galio is able to use his ult to roam top and bot side, it's gonna put much more pressure in Galio mid, so that FF15 is going to have a hard time trying to push the lane, because the pressure from Galio is immense here, and when you put. Oh yes, there has been a switch in the champions with Vladimir top instead of Kale. So, but I think Andrew already touched on that. It really depends on the Mordecai. I mean, the top Galio here, whether he's able to kind of give a lot of pressure to Vladimir during early game phase. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. But for me, in my opinion, I think Gonex definitely has a higher chance of winning. Just looking at the team comp.
Wait. audio 키면 말해줘. Okay. 그리고 I think like also just one of the reasons why it's like really like one of these reasons why I wanted to really commentate this game is also because we're playing the Victor next tomorrow, right, for the semis. I feel like I guess watching them play and see how they play around is going to be really important for us to kind of arrange our band picks and also strategize our team comp as well. So I think that like Yoon, I think we have a chip on our shoulder because we're going to be the ones commentating and we're going to be the ones that actually have more knowledge about that team. I feel like whoever wins, right, we should be ready.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's gonna be tough going against a platinum jungle and a gold mid.
Nah, I've gone against multiple platinum players.
Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, I saw some victories against platinum players. As they say, it's iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond 4. So we're all in the same boat. Anyways, I think the game is starting now.
Yes. Okay, looking at the skins there. Yes, Sangwon L12 has gone with the Project Ash, and
very good skin.
Yes, it is. In fact, I think Project Ash is probably one of the best skins out there for Ash because knowing that the sound effects for W and Alt, I mean the E and the Alt are exactly the same. It's gonna be hard for Israel and Leona to kind of both react from that sound. But not really a big deal. But that might also be like an advantage for the FF15 side.
Okay, so the game has started. Okay, just see. We'll see about this. Like, I guess like as an Ash player, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like just normal skin is really trash. Like I feel like the animation is so sticky.
Yeah.
So I feel like I think like League of Legends, of course, like Riot is saying, oh, it's not a skin to win game, but actually it is a skin to win game, man. Come on, like.
Yeah. Like, yeah, although a lot of people say that skins don't really have any effect on the game, like, you hear a lot of pros and top tier players say that sometimes they actually do in terms of the animations, like the fluidity and just like the movement overall. So, but not really sure if that's going to be a big factor that will decide whether they will win or not. And it seems like Olaf has gotten Jax with the Q, but
yeah, I just think that Olaf should have a really big advantage early game because Olaf actually has a very fast clear, and I think that Olaf should look for that full clear and then try to look for that top or bottom Scuttle Crab fight. And if mid, bottom, or top have lane priority, I think that the red side with Olaf does have an advantage in the 2v2 skirmish.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the red side should actively look for skirmishes because if you give Jax time to scale, then Olaf doesn't really have that much purpose in the early game, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's what red side should really do right now for the early game at least.
Yeah, and both talking about the top and mid laner. Galio and Mordekaiser are definitely going to have line priority, considering the fact that they're strong early game as well. So it's gonna be really hard for Jax to kind of jungle without any pressure. So it really depends on Olaf on whether he's able to exert that pressure on Jax or not. Yeah, so we can already see that Galio has lane priority. This is, like, lane power is really important for a jungle, and as a jungle player, do you have any words about that?
Yo, like, I mean, like, I remember whenever I play solo queue, right? They always say, like, whenever team loses, right? It's jungle chai, jungle chai, jungle chai. Well, actually, if you think about it, if you don't have lane priority, then the jungle can't really grow because you can't really have active skirmishes, even if you play champions like Olaf. Like, for example, if you play a champion like Olaf, even if your mid laner or top laner does not have lane priority, then they're going to have a man up in top lane or bottom scuttle crab skirmishes. And I feel like that's where the jungle difference begins. And I feel like that's why laners are really important to the game, just for jungle survival. And if you want jungle to carry, right, then the laners have to do at least the bare minimum to really help the jungler to have that advantage, especially for early game champions like Olaf in this case.
Yeah.
And I see that. And I see that, as I mentioned, Olaf is going through that top, just the full clear, the classic full clear, and you see that there's already one camp advantage in Olaf's side, and we can obviously see that that's the case because Olaf is a fast early game jungler, and we see that the top laner, due to because he has lane priority, he helps go through that blind line of sight for Olaf to get that top lane scuttle crab. And obviously, then naturally we see Jax taking over that bottom scuttle crab, and I see that that's a pretty reasonable trade. Ideally, it would have been better if bot lane had lane priority, but given the different compositions, I feel like Ashe should have a lane priority early game.
Yeah, and I think Jax really planned his jungle camps very well. Starting top side so that he will probably. I mean, knowing that Ashe will have lane priority, I think it was good that Jax started top side so that he could try to get for the bottom scuttle. And it seems like
skirmish. Wait. Okay. Yeah, Olaf wins this. Nice. Okay. I mean, that was a kind of. Oh wow. That was a very good.
Yeah, that's one of the strengths of Galio. Oh, okay. Did we really have to flash that though? Like knowing that Jax doesn't really have the stun in his.
But
it's probably cooldown, right?
But I think like the Galio shouldn't have went for that exchange there, because you know that the Olaf is going to the Grom, right? And you know that Jax is somewhere bottom side. And why would you go for that exchange when you know your Olaf's not going to be able to help you, but you know that Jax is somewhere there? Yeah. And that's what led to his flash. I don't think that's really good for the Galio, because it makes him even more gank prone when Orianna hits his 6 and also gets that ultimate.
Yeah, so
we'll see about that.
Yeah, so far, like FF15 is actually doing alright. Knowing that top and jungle side obviously has high care potential during late games, like this is actually not a bad. They're actually doing this pretty well. Like they're going through this early game phase normally. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that I see right now is the jungle CS difference, and this has to happen, right? Like Olaf is a much faster jungler, like I mentioned before, but I think that the next step Olaf should do is just actively take objectives and try to use that lane priority to his advantage, and also just in forms of counter ganks and just taking dragons or the Herald at 8 minutes. And that's going to be a huge factor for the red side to really snowball their lead. And if they can't do that, then I feel like the blue side still has a chance to kind of win back due to their team fight oriented comp.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the bot lane comp right now? Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, it's probably ideal for Ashe to have lane priority, but knowing that Olaf is probably gonna be on bot side, I think it was a good idea for Ashe to kind of pull the lane and freeze near his tower, so that not only is not only are Go Nexus team prone to ganks from Jax, but Ashe and Nautilus is fine with probably kind of going on 50-50 with Ezreal and Leona, knowing that Ashe and Nautilus both have a pretty good carry potential at the end. And it seems like Olaf is taking the Dragon camp right now, and that is probably what Olaf should do right now, knowing that Ezreal and Leona has pushed the lane at bot. So
we already see that. We already see the strengths of Olaf, right? Like if you have that early game advantage, you have to be able to take those objectives. But then I also feel like even if you take the first dragon, that doesn't really make you have street edge, because you see like, oh, never mind, okay. But of course Vladimir's W's up. And just to continue what I was trying to say before, it's like we see that even though you take the first dragon, if you kind of lose in that mid to late game, that kind of doesn't really matter, because I feel like even though laning phase is an important part of this game, I feel like the way Riot really made this game, it's also more about skirmishes, more about team fights. So even if it's a must for red side to take that first dragon, but that doesn't really make it seem they have a really huge advantage, or if they're actually going to win the game by 4 dragons. So
그리고 여기서 좀 신기한 게 잭스가 밤에 불씨를 갔어요.
역시 탱크를 간다는 말인데, 그러면 I think like the problem is, right, then you're going to be able to rely on Ashe, and I have some bad memories about Ashe ADC. I'm not going to mention who that person is.
Detroit, but okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, if you're going to rely on Ashe as a sole AD, then he has to be able to see as well. He has to be able to have that item advantage over the Ezreal. But I feel like the late game, Ezreal is a much stronger champion, and Ashe is more oriented around utility. So I don't really think that going Cinder Hulk, going Pamir Bushi is a really good idea. But
and like going with a tank build is really going against like the whole purpose of picking Jax in the first place, because Jax is really known for having a really high late game potential. But if you go with a tank build, like I'm not really sure how that's really going to help during the late game phase.
We see that like, oh, Jax is trying to gank, but oh my.
Oh, okay. He actually made a mistake in the stun timing. 좀 아쉽긴 하네요.
Yeah, but I think that like Olaf is doing a very good job just trying to take control of all the objectives. 그러니까 이렇게 해야 돼 원래 올라프는. 이렇게 안 하면 올라프의 소용이 없거든. 근데 we'll see about skirmishes, because we never know, right?
근데 이제 내가 FF15이 이제 레이트 게임 캐릭 포텐셜 다 높은 챔피언을 골랐다고 했는데 이게 상대 정글이 일방적으로 전령과 드래곤을 모두 챙겨간다? 그럼 이게 반반을 가는 게 아니거든.
그치.
나중에 이제 이것 때문에 결국에는 포탑도 밀리게 되고, 이렇게 포탑 골드도 까이게 되고 이러면은.
Dive. I think looking for a dive here. Yeah, Vladimir. What? Oh my! I think he's dead. I think they're all dead. 와, 엑시던트다, 진짜 엑시던트.
진짜 엑시던트인데 이거?
Oh my gosh, that was a terrible dive from the red side. Like.
근데 이게 knowing that Vladimir had W, they really shouldn't have gone with the dive there.
Like I don't understand. Like Vladimir has W. Like why would you dive a Vladimir, right? Vladimir has ult. Vladimir has Q. Vladimir has W. Vladimir has all his abilities, all his spells. I don't really understand this play, but
yeah, this is a big accident right there.
이거 accident야. 왜냐면 Vladimir got 2 kills, and we'll see what item he has, because he has teleport. He can come back too.
아니 근데 이게 보면은 이거 골드탑의 플레 정글이란 말이야. 근데 이게 초반에 이렇게 밀리게 되면 후반에 얘들한테 릴라이 할 수가 없어. 그러면 여기서 나르나스가 픽하고 그렇지.
Very good gank.
좀 아쉽긴 한데 이거 계속 가는.
이거 리오나 풀 있어. 리오나 has flash. It's fine.
근데 궁을 나르나스하고 잭스가 둘 다 썼는데 리오나는 풀도 안 빠졌다? 근데 이거 리오나가
아니 이거 올라프 왔어.
올라프 역갱을 보는 것 같은데 이러면은
아팅 같은데요. 버려야 돼. 버려야 돼.
심지어 이지가 먹네 이거를 근데 이건
그러면
확실히
I think it really changes things. 근데 I think that 근데 that's so bad. Like giving oh my.
아이고
Oh my god.
노릴러스가 풀도 빠지게 되네 이거.
I just think that what Galio should do here now is push the wave in and try to look for roams. Because like I don't know if Galio went home or anything, but I really feel like if you're going to dive on Vladimir, you need to have Galio. You need to have that 3v1 advantage.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
accompanied by Galio's ult, Galio's W, Galio's E. And I feel like next time, if they're trying to kill Galio, if they're trying to kill Vladimir, or if they're trying to tower dive bottom lane, they need that Galio support. And you see, this is what's going to happen if Vladimir gets 2 kills up ahead of the Mordekaiser. Like Mordekaiser should be able to beat him early game, but
But at this
now-
point, with Vladimir with 2 kills, and you know there is a 20 CS difference, but that doesn't really matter when Vladimir has gotten a double kill during an early game phase. So you know it's gonna be really hard for Mordekaiser now to kind of maintain the 50-50 50-50 lane priority. And you know what? The most important things that a support should do is kind of open up the vision for the entire team. And looking at the 시야 점수 for Nautilus and Leona with 12 points and 8 points. No, that's not really 이게 좋은 시야 점수가 아니긴 해.
I could
이게,
have just people that they're bronze and silver, like. And also we have to see that they're not really supports that roam. Like I saw Nautilus roam, but that was a pretty bad roam timing. And then just one thing to add, right? Like I think that personally, I really feel like Mordekaiser should not go Leandri's Torment. But
여기 이렇게
okay. He's looking for a Torment.
잭스가 이렇게
Jackson no
싸먹
flash. Jackson no flash.
당할 것 같은데 아이고 하좀 갈려
That's
내려오고
a free kill. That's a free kill. 아무것도
이거-
못하지 이러면. 혹시?
이러면은 근데 이러면 진짜 억울하거든 블라디미르 입장에서는 자기 혼자
잡았다.
탑타입에다가
잡았다.
죽나? 죽네 이거 이러면 진짜 확실히 블라디미르
여기서 솔킬 따면? 여기서 솔킬 따면? 이러면 얘기가 달라지는데? 이러면 얘기가
이러면-
달라지는데?
왜 이렇게 아쉽 근데 이게 좀 확실히 블라디미르가 이게 그 모데카이저가 이제 그 시간템을 안 갔기 때문에 it's gonna be really hard for Mordekaiser to get a solo kill out of Vladimir because his Q and his ult is just too strong for Mordekaiser just to get that clear edge over him.
I mean, but we also need to notice that I don't understand why Jax went to that river, because you know you don't have ult and you don't have lane priority. Why are you trying to get that bottom scuttle crab when you know Olaf is gonna when you know that there's basically a 3-man advantage in that skirmish and you don't even have flash? I don't really understand. Like if you're going to, so this is what I would have done if Vladimir got 2 kills off of that dive. I would have played more top side. But I don't know why you were trying to orient your resources to bottom side. Like I understand that Ashe is the only AD healer, but like you need to be able to accelerate Vladimir's lead, or else then we already see the gold difference. It's basically 3k gold lead at 15 minutes, and that just puts more burden on Vladimir's back.
Yeah, and also knowing that Ashe is the only AD with Jax going with a tank build, you know, looking at the opponent's team comp with Mordekaiser's ult, Olaf's ult and Q, Galio's ult and W, Leona's ult Q and E, you know, it's gonna be really hard for Ashe to really have that free dealing position.
Yeah.
So, okay, they're going with
okay, that's a dive. Yeah, that is a very good dive. That is a very good dive. And I think they kind of made up for that stupid dive at top lane. But yeah, because they know Orianna does not have flash. Oh, are they going to go in? What
that's
is
a
this
terrible
guy
decision
doing?
from Jack.
Oh
That's a
my-
terrible decision from Jack.
Oh my
Knowing that
days.
Gali has a W, like, there's no reason for him to go that far and to give enough range for Olaf and Gali to come in.
I just like these plays, man. Like I don't understand. Like, you know, just you know that Vladimir has 2 kills above. Like,
why are you trying to do like things that is not gonna work out for you?
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, and really knowing that.
이러면 게임 풀렸잖아.
그러니까 이러면은 게임 반대쪽으로 터졌지. Because not only does Olaf has both Herald and Dragon control with 2 dragons and now getting his second Herald. You know, like this is actually gonna snowball pretty big. And you know, Mordekaiser trying to do his thing. And you know, like at this point, there's nothing really much for Vladimir to do. And as you can see, yeah, Olaf.
No, Vladimir should back. Vladimir should back here. Vladimir should back here.
I mean, but with okay now.
Ward hub. Does he not have ward? Yeah, Vladimir. Are they really looking for a fight? I don't think you can really fight against that Olaf.
Oh, that's a terrible ult from Ash as well. Not really sure there.
Okay, Mordekaiser should not go there, but alright, whatever.
And it's pretty interesting about Ash's item build. Like with the team comp especially where 갈리오 W, 올라프 Q 다 이런 게 있는 상황에서 지금 애쉬하다 제일 중요한 거는 카이팅하고 거리 유지인데 여기서 몰랑의 검, 올라카모의 검 가야지. 근데 이러면은 또
올라가
더 잘리게 되는데.
와 이거
하지만 노틸러스는 이렇게 살고요. 플래시를 통해서 아이고 포탑이 까지면서
another kill for Ezreal. So basically, Ezreal has 1 item advantage. That's just tough for Ashe. Like, I just feel like this kind of reflects like looking at the pick and ban phase, right?
Mhm.
I just feel like if you're going to pick something, I think that they should have really taken advantage of the Galio first pick by red side. The blue side should have just tried to pick something that counters Galio hard early game, prevents him from roaming potential, or anything, something like a Twisted Fate that can also counter Galio's roaming potential. But I just feel like even though blue side got that advantage early game, that mid bot side kind of difference, jungle difference as well, kind of culminated to that 6k gold lead right now.
yeah, and with a 6k global goal difference, it's getting really hard for the blue side to come back at this point. You know, with Ezreal having a really high carry potential, like it's really going to depend on how the team comp is going to happen. And
this might be a... But Galio's ult. Galio's gonna ult. Galio's no ult.
Okay.
This is winnable. Yeah. This is winnable.
Oh wow, Galio's W has...
Ezreal's too strong. Ezreal is too strong. What is that cleanse? Bong. 그냥
터지네요.
the game just exploded. It just exploded. It's out of their reach now. And it's also worth noting that Vladimir, even though he got those 2 kills, I don't think he really capitalized well off that lead because he's still 30 CS down. And we also saw that Mordekaiser almost solo killed the 2 of Vladimir, who has 2 kills up on him. So I feel like even though Vladimir got those 2 kills, I think that was just a mere accident.
확실히 액시던트가 일어난 것 같긴 하네요.
액시던트인데 이거 진짜
근데 이게 너무 아쉬운 게 이게 especially like the spell cleanse. I'm not sure if that's really a good option for low tier.
I mean, it is good against Leona, right? But
yeah, it is definitely good against Leona, but you know, I'm not really sure whether low tier ADCs have that quick reaction speed to kind of cleanse off the stuns, or you know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I'm also like an anti-cleanse person, right? If you can't really use cleanse if you can't use cleanse well, then there's really no point. It's better for you to just use heal for that team, for the whole team. And we also saw that like Ashe couldn't really time Galio's ult well, and he cleansed before Galio's ult or Galio's W. So I feel like the cleanse should have been used after Galio uses his ult, uses his W. But it's just that's what you have to do. Like you should have just gotten heal just for the extra sustain.
Okay.
I think
Nautilus
they're
missed his
gonna fight. I think Nautilus-
Q right there.
Nautilus-
That's gonna be huge for the blue
Wait,
side.
but teleport out the back. I think that's
Okay, Leona coming in, and they.
That's game. I think that's Baron. That should be Baron.
Yeah, that should be
Baron
Baron
or
the
an
red side.
inhibitor, but I think it's better for them to go Baron.
Yeah,
Or you know what? Maybe an inhibitor is better here just because. I don't know. I like this game. I just don't feel like it's the red side that did really well. It's just I think that the blue side had too many mistakes, and red side was able to kind of catch those mistakes and try to take
okay.
advantage of that.
It seems like they're trying to fake the
Oh, yeah,
Baron and try to go for a sneak attack right there.
You got the very, but I see
But
that Vladimir Jackson
unfortunately,
going to the left.
yeah, they're
Oh,
going to the left
Jax?
side.
Never mind.
You know, but really at this point, like Ezra can really 1v1 against Jax. Like,
Oh, I think it's another fight here.
you know, Ezra with 5 kills already. Like, it's gonna be really
Oh,
hard
okay,
for.
okay. Oh, Galio,
Yeah.
oh, Galio, yeah, that's another one.
mean,
That's another one.
Yeah, that.
Jax
This is
just
probably gonna
walked
be game.
Galio's ult. Well, I think this is at least an inhibitor or Baron, but I think Baron's better. Yeah, Baron's better. Yeah, they're picking Baron. Just push the wave, go Baron.
Yeah, and it really seems like a GG here. Like, I don't really see a way out for the blue side right there. You know, but part of that had to do with really, really with the early lane priority for Vladimir and Orianna.
Exactly.
Like, although Ashe and Nautilus had lane priority at bot, with Olaf getting all the jungle camps and scuttles on top side, like, it was really hard for not only Jax, but also Orianna and Vladimir to really have that, you know, yeah, and I think the red side did a really good job exerting the pressure on the Sangche. So
I mean, I also think that it's really important to look at that mid and jungle stat. You see that Jax and Orianna have five deaths each. We also what can we kind of conclude off of that? I can conclude that Jax kind of made a lot of mistakes going into like basically red side's territory, like as you saw when they didn't have lane priority and he went to the bottom side river. And I think that those kind of mistakes kind of accumulated into this difference, and I think that this game is really goes back to that mid jungle difference and goes really back to that tier difference that we mentioned before the game. And then also just one thing to notice is just the item differences. We see that Jax doesn't even have another item besides that jungle Cinderhulk, and that just is really bad. And we also see the level differences as well. I feel like this game's over.
Vladimir got caught by the Leona's E, and it doesn't really seem like Musa has any.
This is a master. Like, I don't know. They should have just given that 3 dragon, and they should have just gone CS.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went to that dragon pit. Like, you know you can't beat them. You know you can't really fare against them. You know you can't steal that dragon. What's the point of going to that dragon pit? That's just a waste of time. And this is basically game. Like,
yeah, Leona has done a really good job with, you know, initiating the entire team fights with her alt, E, and Q. And as you can see, Mordekaiser is flexing his Zanya right there.
Okay, so I guess we're going against the red side tomorrow. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, it really seemed like although Olaf and Mordekaiser made a mistake with the top side right there, but
They have a chance? But Ezreal is too strong. Ezreal is too strong.
Yeah, although
Ezreal is
Ashe was able to cut Olaf, it wasn't enough to finish the game, and and that's a GG for the red side.
I think really the damage is going to show a lot of information that we kind of repeated throughout the game. And I kind of anticipate that Jax is not going to do a lot of damage, possibly even less than the Nautilus or Leona. And I guess we'll see about that. Oh, at least he did more than the support. But you see that mid jungle difference clearly by that damage difference. And one thing to notice is even though Vladimir got that 2-kill advantage, he wasn't really able to do much. And we also see that Ashe did the most damage, and that was pretty unfortunate for the blue side. So I guess red side is going to be qualifying for the semis, going against Night League tomorrow 7 p.m. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, and talking about Vladimir, once Vladimir got that double kill, like it was really important on whether Vladimir will be able to kind of impact the other lanes with the double kill. But with Vladimir being a really early game, it was really hard for Vladimir to kind of have an impact on the mid and the bot side. So
okay, so now like we have to choose the MVP. So what do you think?
Well, personally, I feel like actually I'm not really sure. Like, what do you think, Andrew? Like, I feel like all 5 of the players deserve an MVP in this case. So,
like for me, my choice is probably the bottom. Because like we saw, I'm probably not gonna pick the jungle and top due to that dive, that reckless tower dive. But like I think I'm gonna go with Galio. I'm gonna go with Galio here because I think his ult usage was very good, along with that W, just able to kind of catch people off guard, allowing that Ezreal to input that DPS. And we also see that Galio, even though he's not like a hard AP mid laner, he was able to do second most damage ahead of everybody else. And I really want to give kudos to this Galio for kind of being able to push the wave, able to roam with his ult, use his W well, his CCs as well. So I'm gonna give my MVP to Galio.
Yeah, I think Galio really deserves this award because, although Galio is a pretty relative easy mid champion, like he basically fulfilled his role as not only as a roamer but also as a teamfight initiator. So with dealing the second most damage right after Ezreal, like I really think that Galio deserved this MVP award.
All right, so Galio, whoever the Galio player was, can you come to this Discord channel and you're gonna have some.
Yeah, so now we're just waiting for Galio to join
the chat, and that was very unfortunate for blue side, but it is what it is. Okay, are you the Galio?
Yes.
Yeah, could you just briefly introduce yourself and just what do you think about the game today? How did you feel?
So, I'm Jeffrey from 9th grade, and I was surprised that they didn't ban Galio because that's my most played champion in ranked.
Oh, okay, I see.
Kinda.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Go on.
Kind of found it disrespectful, so.
Yeah. I just have a question about just the early tower dive that gave Vladimir 2 kills. What did you guys think about that? Like, what were the calls there? What were the calls there? And how did you guys react to that?
We were just talking about how it was okay, and just to think about the next play, and that it's all okay.
Their mental's very good. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm pretty curious about the ban picks. Because having a platinum jungle, we were initially thinking of choosing a jungle champion that probably has a high care potential, like Echo or Karthus or whatever. So, what were your thoughts about like what was going through your mind when you guys were picking Olaf as your jungle champion there?
We just thought that Olaf would be good against their team comp because with all their CC, the Olaf could just ult and go through all of them, which allows like lots of potential for team fights and some early prio as well with Olaf because Olaf is really strong early game as well. So yeah.
And also just something to notice was that you first picked Galio, and we were talking about how like that has it's like a high risk, high reward because if the enemy mid laner can play an AD champion or something that hard counters Galio, then Galio can't really do anything for using it. He won't be able to use his roam potential. So what did you really think, or what did you think when the enemy mid laner actually chose Orianna rather than a hard counter?
Well, I thought he was trying to go even in lane with Galio because Orianna has like a really strong laning phase.
That's true.
So, but I think Galio could contribute in the team fight better. So, I think I did my job there.
Yeah. So last question before we let you go. So now that you guys have won this game, your next competition is going to be against us, the Night League team, tomorrow. So, any last words and just about your kago?
I hope it's a fun game tomorrow, and yeah, I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, what's your name? Jeffrey, right? Thank you so much, Jeffrey, and
Thank you.
hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a very good first game. Like with the red team just dominating throughout the entire.
I agree.
Yeah, just dominating throughout the entire 26 minutes, except for the top tower dive. But obviously,
그건 액시던트.
so
Okay. So okay, that was it for us. Thank you guys. And I think the next game is going to be between SKT T1, SKT 2, probably sister teams. But I guess just stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at the Rift.
Hello, guys. My name is Leo, and I'm here with Anthony Hong, and we will be the commentators for Game 2, SKT T1 versus SKT T2. And their draft pick will start shortly. And from my information, I think they're both junior teams from SIS, and it's going to be interesting to see how this dynamic works, because to my knowledge they play a lot of games with each other, against each other, so I'm very interested on how their ban picks and how their games are going to turn out.
Yeah, so I am your other commentator for today, and frankly, I do not really know the players on either side here, but hopefully, judging by this game, we can sort of gauge like the skill level of the junior teams, because it's going to be interesting to see how good the juniors are in comparison to the other grade levels. So yeah, I think in the case of games like these, I think the draft is, to be honest, pretty fairly important, because especially on a lower level, you want to draft compositions that are easy to execute rather than compositions that are too complicated. So I think we've seen in other games how the draft can matter a lot in terms of whether one team is going to win or lose.
All right. The drafting will start shortly, and
We're heading into our first ban here by SKT-T1.
yes, let's see what they're going to ban.
So you said that these two teams, they know each other very well, right?
Yep, from what I've heard.
So I won't be surprised if these are like picks that both teams have seen from each other before.
Kane.
That's probably a ban for like a specialty player. That's probably a specialty player from SKT T2, so that's why he decided to ban it off. I mean, it's always good to ban a champion off if you think that the other team has a player who can play him really, really well. And it's a Senna ban, okay.
Do you think that's an ADC Senna ban or a support Senna ban?
Usually, I think, frankly, I think it can be played in either role, but I think it's most likely support Senna.
Mm-hmm. Because I also heard from this patch notice that the ADC Senna rule got nerfed.
Yeah, exactly.
A Twitch ban. From both the Kane ban and Twitch ban, I'm kind of noticing this specialty ban, like you said, because Twitch and Kane are both specialty picks.
Yeah, these bans are all really interesting. I think they're just looking at each other's just judging from their past games and just like what they know that the other team is good at playing at. I think they're just banning based off that.
Yeah, Yasuo ban too, because Yasuo was a very specialty pick as well. I think like I mentioned at the start of the stream, they're both they both know each other very well. So, and also Vayne ban, which is an ADC that has a high carry potential. Like we've seen a lot of times from Christopher. I think you remember that.
Indeed.
All right.
And now we have Zach for our last phase 1 ban, and this just seems like, again, just more champions that they think the other team will play really well based on like their ranked games or something.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're heading into the first pick, Orianna.
An Orianna pick.
Yeah, personally, I think that first picking Orianna is usually good because Orianna, frankly, is just good into mostly everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's responded with a Rakan support.
Mm-hmm. A Rakan support.
Let's see if you decide to pick up Xayah with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Because Xayah Rakan, obviously one of the best ADC support combos out there.
Yeah, but the thing is, Xayah Rakan is actually, frankly, it's not that strong right now. So if they do decide to pick Xayah, it'd be pretty interesting. I don't know, like if Rakan is the best support to pick here. Okay, Rakan Caitlyn. That's also a good bot lane.
Anthony, I'm not really knowledgeable in bot lane, but what's the combination like between Rakan and Caitlyn?
So I think it's just Rakan and Caitlyn is. I think it's frankly it could be pretty good. They don't have any like super explicit synergies, but just the fact that Rakan has hard CC and Caitlyn also has a potential to chain that hard CC with her own traps, it makes it so that they can play really aggressive really easily. So I think they complement each other pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And a Brown support pick from T1. How about a Brown support? Do you think it's really a counter pick to Rakan, or?
Yes, yeah. Braum is the pretty clear counter pick just because of his passive. So if Rakan jumps in, Braum has the opportunity to either ult him or just stun him up. So things that have hard CC in supports are the things that counter Rakan. So I understand this pick.
Mm-hmm.
And Xayah as the counter ADC. Okay, that's interesting because Xayah is just not that strong right now.
Okay, a Xayah pick.
Oh,
and a Fizz pick.
Okay, so he picked Fizz into Orianna, which has potential because whenever Orianna ultis, Fizz can just EOA, right, and become untargetable. But it requires a really good timing in order to do that. So this means that he probably has a lot of confidence on Fizz, but at the same time, if you can't execute it properly, it really isn't that good if you can't dodge Orianna's ultimate.
Okay, I just heard some news that Braum was a mispick because of some internet error, and it was actually a Volibear.
Oh, a Volibear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that's going top or
jungle. As a top player, I know Volibear is very strong top, but in the current meta, a Volibear jungle is, I think, stronger than Volibear top if you look at the tier placements as well.
Right. We see here in the second ban phase, SKT T2 have opted to ban 2 junglers, Hecarim and Olaf.
Mm-hmm.
Considering,
yeah,
go ahead.
Then, counting the first ban phase as well. This may indicate that there's a strong jungler on the T1 team because they have 3 bans for the jungler.
Yeah, that's true. And wait, is that 2 no bans on the side of SKT T1? Is this BM here?
It says that they banned Callista and Darius. So
okay. I think it's bugged on my screen.
Yeah, me too. So the last two band picks from T1, the blue boxes represent Darius and it represents Darius and Callista. So
okay. Jax is 4th pick for SKT T2.
Do you think this is Jax jungle or Jax top? Because last game there was a Jax jungle who undoubtedly didn't do as well as the team wanted him to.
Yeah, honestly, Jax, I think it's better suited top lane in a case like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes jungle either. Graves. I think Graves might be a good choice into SKT-T2 just because Graves is strong against AD-based champions, right? Because of his armor passive. So he's good against Jax because he's good against Caitlyn. And they're picking up... Wait, what's the 5th pick? Okay. Nautilus.
Nautilus. Then what do you think? Then what do you think of the combination between Xayah and Nautilus?
Xayah Nautilus, it is a good bot lane if you're talking about if this was 2018, but 2 years later, Xayah has been significantly nerfed, and Nautilus, frankly, I think there's a lot better selections for Nautilus. So I'm not too sure that that bot lane is that strong, but at the same time, it is workable. It's not terrible.
Okay.
We have a Nunu pick from SKT T2.
Yeah. And we also have news that instead of Graves, it was Trundle.
Instead of Graves, it was Trundle?
Mm-hmm. And apparently the website's very scuffed.
Okay.
So please understand that it's our first time doing this. So I think the T2 band picks were fine, but T1 apparently they had a bug in their picking phase. So So to clarify, it's going to be Oriana, Volibear, Zaya, Trundle, and Nautilus.
Trundle and Nautilus.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, I like the fact that I do like Trundle better than Graves in the comp T1, just because I think it gives a better balance of damage and tankiness. Meanwhile, so T2's composition is correct in this case, right?
Yep. Yep. T2. They didn't give us notice about any errors in their ban picks.
Okay.
So
So in the case of SKT T2's team composition, it looks like there's no specific theme here. I think it's just champions that the players are comfortable playing, especially in the case of like Nunu and Fizz. And Nunu, if played properly, is honestly extremely strong. So I mean, they do have things to counter it, like Zai's ultimate can dodge Nunu's ultimate, and anything with CC really can stop Nunu from channeling his abilities. So we'll see how that plays out.
Okay. All right. So like I also think the team competition is very balanced-ish, but I think, in my opinion, looking at the picks, like I think the Oriana ult may be a huge X factor too.
Yeah.
Including with Zaya's ult and maybe the Volibear's ult, which is very effective in tower dives. However, also on the right side, they're giving a lot of pressure or a lot of carry potential to Caitlyn, as Caitlyn is a very great ADC to carry, as her auto attacks are very strong, especially in late game. And also Jax is a very late game oriented champion. So I think using Nunu, they're going to gank a lot to help out the Caitlyn and the Jax to grow, as they're sort of maybe a bit weaker in early game. Still, they're strong, but still, I think the Nunu is going to gank a lot with her snowball going around the map and helping out the team to grow.
Right. And I think that in the case of games like this, scaling is actually a pretty important factor. Playing champions that you can survive on and scale into the late game is really strong. And we saw in the last game how one of the teams, they did pick a scaling-based composition, but they weren't able to pull it off in the end because they died way too many times in the beginning. So I'm wondering, what team do you think has the better chance of scaling hard into the late game and picking up a win that way?
I think I'm not too sure, but I think obviously Zaya is also a great late game champion too, and Oriana, like I mentioned, is a very good late game too. But
Yeah,
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's pretty tough to decide which team is stronger because, as you said, Oriana and Zaya both have really solid late games, and Graves, he is more early oriented, but if he can snowball into a strong late game champion. But on the side of T2, we have champions like Jax and Caitlyn. Caitlyn, who has a strong early game and also a strong late game just because of the amount of DPS she has. And obviously Jax just because of the scaling he has with his passive, and becomes basically a really formidable force later on in the game. And we have Nunu as well, which similar to Graves in a way. Nunu is, I think, a little bit weaker in the early game, but I think that if he managed to get just a couple of kills or farms really well, then he also becomes a lot of magic damage to deal with later on.
And also, as a top player, I think Volibear and Jax. I think while Volibear may be stronger in the early game, as Volibear has a great stun, great shield from his E, and great life steal from his W. I think Jax in the end, because he has his E, which blocks every auto attack, and Volibear is a very auto attack heavy champion because his W has the auto attack is counted as an auto attack, including his Q stun. So I think when Jax turns on his W, the only damage that's going to go on Jax from the Volibear will be his E, and I think therefore Jax is very good against these bruiser champions, and top lane Jax is definitely going to win in my opinion, unless there are very various differences in tiers or in the person playing the game, which I'm not really knowledgeable on. So we'll have to see once you get into the game.
Right. Okay. Now we're heading into the game here. So, as you mentioned before, I think a lot of this is going to be decided by the individual skill differences between the lane matchups and the jungle matchup. Both teams scale similarly. I think maybe SKT2 might scale a little bit better. But overall, no team really has the advantage in terms of how strong they get as the game goes on. So I think a lot of it will be determined by what happens in laning phase and what the junglers decide to do.
All right. So first of all, I think it's very important to notice that Caitlyn and Xayah both went on Doran's sword, which kind of shows that they're going to be very strong in the laning phase, very maybe doing a lot of small deal trades.
Right. And it's important to note that Caitlyn right now is one of the strongest ADCs in the meta, and Xayah is sitting at like a 46% win rate. So the reason why that is because Caitlyn, especially in the Caitlyn versus Xayah matchup, Caitlyn is just going to auto Xayah all day, and then Xayah really can't do anything in the early game. So, I mean, I think in the bot lane, we're going to be seeing probably an early lead picking up by Juke Master because of how basically just oppressive Caitlyn is during laning phase in this point in time.
Yeah, like Caitlyn is very. I think Caitlyn, in my opinion, is a very OP. Is an OP champion because, as you mentioned before, she's very strong early game and late game. So,
right.
Let's see how the game turns out.
Between the two FTT sister teams, you see, but both junglers have opted to start with the bot side, jungle.
Yep.
So there's nothing too out of the ordinary currently.
No, I think the Jax should should be careful very in the early game, especially in phase 1.
If he opts for early trade here, he lands the E auto, and wow, Volibear is actually so strong level 1, and he completely wins that trade there.
Yep. And the CS lead is also there for Volibear in the top lane, so I think that was maybe a bad trade off by Jax in terms of both his scoring potential and also that small trade.
Definitely. And I also noticed that Volibear has opted to take Ignite instead of TP. This is the standard rune for top laners. It shows that he is looking to solo kill Jax at some point here, or at least go for or dive or something onto the tower and try to snowball Volibear into a really strong champion, which can happen if he gets a lot of kills in the early game. Oh, and an early flash
W by Rakan, and a good snowball by Nunu, and the first blood by Caitlyn, which was very smart from T2 as Caden's the ADC. So I think they purposely gave first blood to Caitlyn, giving him 100 gold bonus.
All right, here, if I was a Xayah, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be tilted out of my mind right now because you just got flashed on by Rakan level 2. The Nunu comes with the giant ass snowball, and you just get destroyed. You really can't do anything about that. So that's honestly extremely tilting as an ADC player myself, even to watch. So, I mean, the Xayah, she has to reset her mental after that. I mean, if that was Christopher Dongjin Kim, a player on Songnam Torture, let me just tell you, he would have called for an FF right there.
And also, it's very important to notice that Xayah, after her first death, she was unable to buy any items. Therefore,
Here comes
Oh.
Nunu again for a mid-game now. And now he's dead. He's just dead.
No. See,
And Oriana ends up flashing for nothing as well.
Yep.
So we can already observe a sort of jungle gap going on here. And
like I told you before the game started, like I said, because all of the laners, Fizz, Jax, and Fizz, Jackson, Caitlyn are all late game champions. I thought that Nuno will gank a lot of lanes like this, like he's doing right now, and kind of allow their laners to grow.
right. And you can see here in the top lane, Jax is getting pushed in a lot, and okay. Another one trade by Volibear. So it seems that Volibear knows this matchup pretty well, and he's just right now dominating Jax, which is kind of the only good thing that's going for SKT T1 right now, because we see that their bot lane is behind now, and now their mid lane is behind, and so they're going to have to deal with both a really strong Fizz and a really strong Caitlyn, which both are extremely huge menaces to SKT T1 because of their kill potential. Caitlyn with her really aggressive auto attacks and ultimate can easily pick up a kill if she has just even one BF sword. And in the case of Fizz, I mean, Oriana just has to watch out getting solo killed here.
Yep. And right now, I think Oriana is in a very bad position, because if you look at the item difference, Fizz has his Hextech Revolver, while Oriana only has the Spellbook.
Right.
Which I think is a very huge item difference in terms of AP damage, and therefore I think Oriana, in my opinion, should just kind of back and be careful of the Nunu Snowball and Fizz's sharp solo kill.
Right. The other thing we have to watch out for is something like this, because Oriana, she used her flash earlier, so even though right now it seems like he has a health advantage, Fizz's ultimate in one burst, Fizz can probably kill Oriana at level 6, so he has to watch out for that.
Mm-hmm. And it's also important to notice that Fizz has 2 corrupted potions left, which is very good for Fizz, because if he takes 1 potion, then he'll go back to full health.
Okay, that was a pretty good trade by Jax there.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, here we go.
Here's a Fizz ult.
Fizz ult,
Oriana's
Oriana.
ult too. Fizz flashes away for the save, and he gets.
Okay, that was interesting.
I'm not a Fizz player myself, and Anthony, I think you're a Fizz player, so you think Fizz should have went in, or?
I don't think you have to be a Fizz player to know that was kind of a bonobo play. Because I mean, you can't just ult like that and go in and just either there. I think you try to be aggressive and finish off the kill, but not just flash away for nothing. That was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was definitely a waste of a flash. I think if he were to back, he should have just walked back instead of wasting his flash. Now Oriana doesn't have a spell, and now Fizz doesn't have a spell advantage nor a health advantage. He's actually disadvantageous in terms of health. So I think, and level too. So I think Oriana has a great solo kill potential right now.
Right. And here we're seeing the top lane that Jax is going in and trading aggressively, and so far, it seems like Jax has popped his ultimate. Volibear is also popped his ultimate.
And Ignite.
This is gonna be really close.
Really close. And Volibear flashes away.
Oh, okay. Volibear flashes, but Jax ends up having lower health. But both players are really low now, and none of them. Yeah, I think Jax is going to back off here. That would be the smart decision.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, that is a one trade by Volibear, because he loses that entire wave in the top lane. And so yeah, we can see how the SKT T1 top laner is doing very good.
But also, I think it's very important to notice, because if it was other top champions other than Jax, then I think Volibear would have killed the enemy top laner, because if you see, using Jax's E, he didn't get stunned by Volibear's Q. So I think if he got stunned there, then he would have definitely died and lost the top prio. But because it's Jax, because his E has because his E is a great skill, I think. So I think that was a great play by.
That was a good bind by Zaya. Nautilus goes in
and ult.
I popped ulti.
And Kate.
Trundle coming in from the side. This kill secured. Okay, that was really good, really well executed, especially by Zaya with the initial feather bind there.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was playing Zai here, I'll be extremely happy by that kill because this not only in this situation, Zaya not only gets a kill, but he also relieves the pressure that has been in the bot lane ever since Zaya was initially ganked in level 2. So that evens things up a lot in the bot lane here.
In terms of rating, do you think Zaya has a higher carry potential or Caitlyn has a higher carry potential?
Honestly, it's hard to say just because in terms of raw damage, Caitlyn is just the strongest right now. But if you consider the fact that Zaya has kiting potential with his feathers, pullback feathers, and his ultimate, I think that Caitlyn is probably stronger in late game. But honestly, it just comes down to the skill difference between the players.
And here's a big wave coming down on Volibear. Maybe a possible dive because Nunu's
If this goes in, and you can see with his electrocute, he does a ton of damage with just a really short burst trade there.
And I think obviously Orianna acknowledged the loss of lane
Here
pile.
comes Nunu.
Oh no,
Oh,
there
that's
goes
a useless
Flash.
flash. That's a useless flash.
Good ulti from Orianna, but still, it's
No.
inevitable.
So yeah, I mean, if Orianna wanted to flash, he should have flashed the initial fish. Because I mean, after you get hit by the fish, there's really no point in flashing because Nunu's there. So and we can see now there's a solo kill by Volibear up in the top lane.
That was a huge mistake by Jax.
Yeah.
He initially missed his first E, and then his E was on cool. So without his E, Volibear could very effectively deal against Jax.
Exactly. That was quite terrible by Jax. And we can see that there's a pretty clear top differential forming. But at the same time, the Rift Herald is put down in bot lane, so that gives a ton of gold over to both Nunu and Fizz. And now we see Orianna is 0-2-0, while Fizz is 1-0-1. So this late matchup is just going to get harder and harder for Orianna as time goes on. And as an Orianna player myself, this situation would not make me feel good, just because now Fizz has so much kill potential, and without your flash, you're so incredibly susceptible to another gank by Nunu that this is going to be pretty tough here.
And also, I think the red side currently is very the red side is very is in a huge lead right now because the bot lane, as you said, it has a CS lead, huge CS lead, and the jungle also has a 10 CS lead, which is really big for junglers. However, I think the pulling factor, the liability for Team 2 right now, T2 is the Jax top, who has the only lane difference.
Right. Let me see here. Jax is thinking of going down the river, and now Orianna has to be careful because of the Jax roam. And Jax is coming in. Let's see what happens here.
And the bot lane fight too. And
bot lane fight
gang.
Nunu comes in once again.
Nice
ult by Zaya. Very good ult. Okay, now Nautilus does die, but they get the Caitlyn in return. And here comes Nunu.
Oh, Nunu just backs.
Okay, he just backs away. So overall, that was a 1v1 trade in the end, but you have to consider the fact where the kills go. So one kill went over to Zaya. Well, okay, the other kill also went over to Caitlyn, but at the same time, the Caitlyn loses a wave here. So I would say that was a one fight for SKT T1.
I agree too, because a death of a ADC is way more valuable than a death of a support.
Right. In terms of the objectives, we saw that SKT2 got the Rift Herald earlier, and I think it's also going to be important what Drake is going to be. If it's going to be Ocean Soul, then whatever team focuses on the bot side more will obviously have the advantage at the end. So I think that's also important to keep in mind too.
And here's a jungle.
Oh wait, Trundle is going in here. Oh my geez.
Oh my, Trundle just inted, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a bonobo play once again. Figure 2 of a bonobo play. Trundle just ran in with 300 health and died for no reason there. But in the end, it was a valid attempt to go for a steal, but it doesn't pay off.
Yep. And I think Chondo, in this game there's a clear jungle and maybe an ADC difference, and also a mid difference too, because with the Chondo, not only he's losing in KDA and also he's losing in CS really big now.
Right.
And a level difference too. So I think unless Chondo really steps up, the objective fights will almost always go to Team Red or SKT2, right?
Right. And we see in mid lane, I did not notice this, but there is in fact a 24 CS gap between Fizz and Orianna. So that actually makes up for the kill that Fizz had. And okay, Volibear
dies, ults.
Oh Jesus Christ! Here comes Nunu with a bit. Okay, here comes Nunu with the snowball. Let's see what happens. It looks like Volibear is probably going to die.
Nice snowball there from Nunu, and I think Nunu has ult, but
Flashes away. Okay, he takes the flash.
Good
Oh,
flash.
here comes Trundle with the return game. Okay, forces Nunu to flash. So overall, pretty even to be honest.
1-for-1 flash trade too, and I think the initial initiation from Volibear with his ult was very good because he inactivated the enemy tower. However, because of Nunu's fast backup, he was forced to back.
Okay, Jack hops in, hops the E.
And Trundle comes back.
Here. Oh Jesus.
Oh, but Jax wards away, but Trundle gets the kill. And Nunu's coming back too, but there's a huge back ping.
Yeah, it's useless. It's useless. So we can observe the top differential going on here. Jax, now he's been solo killed once, and now the other time he's gone in at a very bad time. So now he has a 0-2-0 KDA as okay. Orianna goes off Fizz here, pops the ulti. Fizz is low, pops his own E, and he's just dead.
Great play by the blue side in general, using the Nautilus ult, followed by right away by the Orianna's ult. Therefore airborning Fizz 2 times in a row, and then finishing off with the Orianna Q. I think that was a very clean overall play to block the Fizz's growing too big, and with that one death, Fizz will lose a couple of waves, which will even widen the CS difference between Orianna and Fizz.
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, it looks like SKT1 in the beginning they were kind of struggling because of the bot lane differential, but now with those 2 kills, they've evened up the gold, and even the kills are pretty much the same right now. So I think the game is completely up for grabs at this point.
What was that play by the Volibear? He just walked into Jax's lead.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Okay, they're continuing to fight. Nunu's coming up here, but Volibear is extremely strong right now. And Jax, he just... Oof.
What was that play by the Jax?
There's some interesting thing going... You know what? This SKT2 team... Do you remember 2017 SKT Huni?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting some reminiscent flashbacks here. I think this is an example of what would happen if 2020 Kana went against 2017 Huni here. And we can see how Jax is just getting absolutely dominated in this top lane. I mean, he thought that Nunu was going to come sooner, but he didn't realize the burst damage of Volibear, so he ends up just dying before Nunu can reach him. Which, I mean, now it was 3 consecutive kills in a row for SKT1. It looks very, very good for them.
And what an ult by Orianna!
Oh my!
Orianna is really strong right now. And the mid difference that, in terms of KDA, that was made at the start of the game is all gone now. And now I think Orianna is stronger than Fizz with the CS difference and the KD difference.
Yeah, I would like to... That was... Okay. That was an interesting play indeed by Fizz right there. And Nunu goes into the snowball.
Goes in, but it's a 2v2 skirmish.
Right now, Volibear and Trundle are much stronger. But Rakan is here.
Ults.
Nunu gets the max ultimate. Nunu gets the max ultimate. Volibear drops. Okay, in the end, it is a 1-for-1. So it's not too bad, but at the same time, I believe that Volibear did have a shutdown gold, so red side does get that.
Shutdown gold.
Yeah.
I think the game was very on this. Initially, the game was on the side of the red side, but now it seems that it kind of tilted over to the blue side from Volibear solo kills. But let's see the skirmish between Trundle and Jax.
Trundle versus Jax.
Chundu
Jack
should
should win this. Okay, and now he gets Caitlyn OP.
Caitlyn.
So
Good play by the Blues, the red side.
yeah, and it is an Ocean Soul, so the Drake is going to be extremely important in this game. Both teams have to prioritize the Dragon because neither team has an incredibly strong scaling composition. So whatever team gets the Ocean Soul, I think, has a really good chance of winning this game.
And I think now the game's pretty even on both sides. There's a gold advantage and the strength of each champion. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how the game turns out from here. It's a very pivotal moment for both teams right now.
Right.
And like you mentioned, it all starts from the Ocean Drake.
And now we see here, I'd like to point out the mid lane CS differential once again. Fizz has 123 CS, while Oriana has 169 CS. There's a 40 CS differential between the two mid laners, and that's basically equivalent to like 3 kills. So, okay, here we see Nunu's getting hooked. Okay,
And Trundle's coming.
Okay, Trundle's coming here, puts up the pillar, and forces Nunu to flash away.
That was kind of a questionable pillar, to be honest, but I think that also led Nunu flashing away, so it was a good play by Trundle
Right.
in the end.
I think Nunu just had no business being there, and he gets properly punished for it. Oh, and Jesus Christ, the damage by Orion is actually massive.
And the Volibear too.
And is Jax going to go in again? Is he going to finally win the 1v1 this time? Let's see.
Oh, Jax is pretty strong
Jax
too.
pops ulti. And here comes Rakan.
And
Here comes
Rakan.
Rakan. Volibear is shouting bottom diff right now. He's shouting support diff. Okay, it doesn't matter because in the end he survives. But we can see here the mid lane is being pushed in by Oriana, and Oriana is just incredibly strong just because of how much he's farmed up. And he has his Ludens now. So
And it's a 3-4-1 dive. Are they gonna dive or no?
I don't think they can dive Volibear. He's way too tanky. And Jax goes anyway.
Jax dives. Okay, see how this is now Nunu ulti, back ulti, but this doesn't look good for SKT2.
And Volibear just completely outplays them.
What a play! And Oriana's here.
And Oriana here. So in the end, they don't manage to kill the Volibear, and instead 2 of them die. And Rakan is over the wall. He's on the enemy side of the map. So let's see if he survives. But overall, that was a very, very bad dive by SKT2. And
like you mentioned, with Volibear's E, he gets a shield when he hits himself with his own E. So I think that was a very bad dive by SKT2.
Oh, and Rakan narrowly escapes.
Alright, someone TPs to the enemy blue side.
What the?
And what was that TP by Jax?
Looks like Jax is looking for a kill on the Volibear. Let's see if he's
But
fast.
Jax
Goes
might
in.
be fast enough, but
He
Trundle's there too. What's that Jax doing?
Oh! This is a very unfortunate game for the SKT2 top laner. Jax, the shite. What is going on here? I mean, the other plays were questionable, but this one, this just takes it to another level here. That was very interesting, and Rakan tries to go down the Oriana, but it's quite useless here. Oriana with the happy feet does very well to dodge the Rakan.
I've heard some news from my friends that the top laner from SKT2 is their weakness, but I didn't think the weakness would be this big.
No,
I
simply think the top laner has probably disconnected their keyboard or something like that, or something like the sort. As we can see, the Xayah is getting, and the Xayah.
What a play by Fizz. So I think the conclusion here is that every lane's doing fine except top lane for SKT2.
Right. It seems that the Volibear is just becoming a monster here. He has KDA is 314. He has 2 core items. He's about to get his 3rd one, and it's just absolutely massive. So the question is, how are they going to deal with the split push of Volibear if he decides to split push? And so who can they really send up there to deal with Volibear? I mean, Fizz isn't strong enough. Jax certainly is not strong enough. And I mean, Nunu maybe can deal with him, but you don't really want the jungler to be countering the split push. So
No, and also Volibear is known for being very effective in catching the ADC. So I think the Caitlyn won't be able to deal as much too, because if Volibear Qs and has the movement speed, then he'll end up catching up to Caitlyn and stunning him and eventually killing Caitlyn. And I think They're looking for a dragon fight, but Jax is still top with no TP. So I think SKT T1 should take advantage of this 4v5 fight in the dragon pick, but Fizz ults and Rakan initiates, but the Volibear is just too strong.
Yeah, Volibear is just too strong here.
And I think the Ocean Drake now goes for goes to SKT T1. I think the initial error was Jax going top because he clearly knew that there was an Ocean Drake, but despite not having a TP, he went top. And he just goes in the enemy side.
Here, but he died immediately. And Fizz is also going in. He gets the kill on Nautilus, and he managed to get out, so that's pretty good.
As a top laner, I think not covering up for the team objective was very bad. If he had a TP, then I would understand, but without a TP, just going in and just going to top and leaving his team for a 4v5 fight initially, and then just going in the enemy side with his E, really trusting in his E and just dying. I think that was a very bad play from Jax.
Right. Overall, those series of fights was won by SKT T1, and right now they have the gold advantage and they also have the Drake advantage. So in order to win the team fights in the future, SKT T2, they probably need like a better kind of engagement, because right now I think they're really disoriented. So they have to find a good way to execute whatever their team composition is trying to do.
And I think, like, in general, if the blue side snowballs their lead very well from here, I think it's a clear advantage even to late game for them.
Yeah. Now Orianna picked up his blue buff, and we can see there's a 70 CS differential now between the mid laners. So essentially, Orianna is just like 7 times stronger than Fizz at this point. And okay, Volibear goes in right away onto the Caitlyn.
See, this is what I was talking about. Volibear is an ADC killer.
Yeah, Orianna's ult just destroys the
And Volibear flashes, but ult gets ultied by Rakan, and Rakan gets away safely with the flash.
Yeah, so I mean the blue team, they should consider going Baron here maybe, but they just opt to push the mid lane here.
And I think, looking at Volibear's items, I think he's going for Chengdang and Yonggang, which gives him a lot of movement speed when running to the enemy team. And Rakan, what an E. What an ult by Fizz. Yeah, the Volibear and Orianna is just too strong.
Yeah, that was a suspect engage. That doesn't really do anything for SKT2.
And I think Jax is gonna die.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy, Volibear just backs.
Yeah, that was interesting. In the end, it is still a one fight for SKT1 because they got the pick off on Caitlyn in the beginning. So at this point, they're just going to be setting up for Baron in the future, and I don't think there's a lot that SKT2 can do to stop it. So Nina's going to try going on this Orianna. The Orianna is extremely strong here. I wouldn't be surprised if he can pull off the 2v1. The Rakan is also here. He flashes over the wall.
But they can't do anything about the Orianna.
Yeah. Orianna has a 700 gold bounty at this point because he's farmed so much. He has 250 CS at 27 minutes, which is extremely impressive.
And I think despite Fizz, I think it was all just Nunu in the early game getting kills through Fizz, which gave Fizz the early game difference. However, in general, I think it's clear that Orianna is a bit of a is better player than Fizz, looking at his farms. But Jax goes back in, and I don't think he learned his lesson from.
Oh my Jesus Christ!
This is like his 4th solo kill out of his 7 deaths.
Yeah, that was terrible. And
what a Q by Nautilus.
now Fizz is getting engaged on, and yeah, they just shouldn't have walked through there.
And then ult by Orianna.
They're all dead.
Yep. I think that was a bad. That was a bad fight.
Yeah, so ever since that dive in the top lane, essentially, it's just been going downhill completely for SKT2, and I don't know if they have a way back into this game, to be honest.
Yep. Unless Caitlyn gets a really good position for free dueling, I don't think he can. I think the game's pretty over. Like the game's now over. I think, to be honest, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And it just all started from the tower dive, like you mentioned. The stupid tower dive.
Now the red side they've lost all their outer turrets, and blue side basically has complete control over the Drake pit. So I don't think they can contest this dragon. And now they're going to be on soul points, which means that they're going to be one drink away from getting the ocean soul. And once they have that, it's just going to be completely impossible for SKT to come back.
And the ocean soul is known as the most OP soul because it gives you a lot of health regeneration, which is very good for Trundle and Volibear, which are tankers. And I don't think they will be able to kill Volibear then, to be honest.
Right. If I was to pinpoint, like, even like the slim chance that SKT-T2 could come back into this game, it's either through getting picks off of the enemy, or maybe possibly they could peel for Caitlyn well enough that he managed to put out enough DPS to counter the blue side's damage. But I honestly doubt that either of those things are going to happen.
And also, I think the only people going sides are Volibear, which, like you mentioned, is very unkillable, including the Trundle too, who's obviously going to back up Volibear's side push. And I don't like Jax is known as a very good early game, a very good late game pick, but I don't think Jax can recover from that.
Yeah.
Seen it from both games. And especially, I think Jax isn't an easy champion, so for low-tier players like us, Jax isn't a good pick either.
Oh, is Jax gonna die here again? Oh my, look at the damage.
Look at the damage by Orianna. Oh, Jax goes in.
Jax pops in.
Why would he go in? Oh, good. Oh, but Orianna ulties.
I don't know if he's
Oh, wait, Jax... the
He ends up
Orianna
dying.
damage.
That was actually closer than I thought it would be. Just because... But I mean, now he has 8 deaths and 1 kill, so...
I think at this point, after looking as KDA, he should maybe play a bit more passively, not starting the engages, and just running away when they see enemy teams, especially people who are strong, like Orianna, or Trundle, or Volibear, instead of going in stupidly.
Yeah. I'd like to suggest him maybe switching champions over to something like Annie or something, which has more fundamental kit, might be easier to execute.
And Anthony, you're known as a great Annie main too, so...
Right. Because I like to focus on the macro side instead of the mechanics, which is helpful in the case. And then here, Nautilus is going in. He pops the ultimate on Caitlyn. Caitlyn flashes over the wall.
Flashing,
Okay, let's see if they can follow up on this.
Zaya ults.
Okay, that was a really bad Zaya ult, but...
The Volibear is really fast because of Chongdang Yonggang.
In the end, Red SKT-T2 does do a good job to disengage. The Caitlyn managed to not to die. Pretty good. But
And
there is still a 5k goal difference between the two teams. And once the fourth dragon comes, once the next dragon comes up, I think that fight is just going to decide the game.
And like with the lane priorities, like we just saw, the blue side has complete control of the whole map, including the enemy jungle. Now they can just steal every jungle camps from the red side, blocking, inhibiting from the red side to grow and come back. At this point, I think if I were to go in the voice channel of SKT-T2, they will be very mad at the Jax. because in my opinion, every laner is not doing that, weren't doing too bad in terms of their laning phase and their fighting phase. If you look at their KDA or CS, but I think the only difference here was the Jax, to be honest, starting from the stupid tower dive that they did.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the Jax, the entire team of SKT-T2 did make a lot of critical mistakes. Oh, not only the Jax, but overall, just the decision making of, as you mentioned, taking that tower dive earlier in the game was just it ended up just completely backfiring on them, and it's basically that thing is just what kickstarted this whole decline essentially.
And I think the only way for SKT to win right now is to somehow expect the Caitlyn to hard carry right now. And if the Caitlyn was Christopher Andrew Dongjin Kim, then I would expect him to carry because every time we play when he got Caitlyn, he somehow carries the game and ends the game. However, right now with the difference with the strength from the other team, from SKT1, I think the Caitlyn won't be able to grow as much as she should. Now they got the Ocean Soul and they'll be unkillable, but the red side is going for Baron, which is somewhat questionable because if once the blue set comes, then that will be over for them.
I don't think they're taking it fast enough. They're way too slow on this.
And what is Jax doing in mid lane? If his team's going for Baron, he should come to Baron and help his team out. And they're going on a 45 fight.
And
Jax is
getting it.
down.
Jesus Christ. And red team is just all dead. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Nautilus does
GG.
die, but that's just a massacre. Yeah, I think it's going to be GG from here.
Yeah. In my opinion, Jax, instead of eating mid CS Baron pit and help this team out, maybe deal some damage to Baron, and also because of Jax being in mid lane, his team was on a 45 fight, which was very disadvantageous for them.
Yeah, but to be honest, that was just a desperation play to try to get the Baron in return. And I mean, it was a good try. That was probably the best thing they could do in that situation. But in the end, they couldn't get the Baron, and here Rakan dies as well. So it looked like it's going to be GG here.
Yep. And they took 2 inhibitors, and I think are they looking to end the game with the Baron buff?
No,
Yep, I think they are.
Baron
Yep, I think it's a GG.
Okay, one last
Jax
engagement.
goes in.
Stop it.
But with Zaya with the feather, but Zaya's dead. But Oriana is still
Caleb's
full
doing a lot of
health.
DPS in the backline,
Yeah,
but I mean, they're hitting Nexus.
yeah, GG. The Oriana was just too strong.
Yeah. Compounded by the fact that because of the Ocean Soul, I mean, there was just basically no chance to get back into that game.
Mm-hmm. And now let's look at the graph, the deal graph, and talk more about that. Wow, look at the Oriana's damage.
Yeah, Oriana does the most damage on the team, followed closely by the Volibear, and it does make sense considering the amount of Oriana that CS did, the amount of CS that Oriana had, and also the amount of kills that Volibear got in the top lane. We see actually that Jax did a decent amount of damage on the enemy side, but we have to consider the fact that he died 10 times.
times.
So I mean, is that worth it? Who knows?
Probably not. And also, I think Nino was very good early game, as she's a very good early game ganking champion, but after that, she really fell off a lot. After the unsuccessful tower dives that she did, especially one on the top lane, and the unsuccessful ganks that were counter ganked by Trundle, and I think this really inhibited Nunu from doing much damage on the enemy team.
Right. So SKT T1 is going to move on to the next round, the semifinals.
Mm-hmm. And I think the MVP here is obviously Oriana, as she did the most damage, and she was obviously the most, as she was the strongest player on the team.
Yeah, I'd also like to give an honorable mention to Volibear, who also performed admirably in the top lane, avoiding that dive and outplaying it really well. And so,
and yeah, I think it was a huge difference from both teams. Maybe due to the tier differences, and I think it's very interesting how they're going to turn out in the semifinals, which are going to go against the victor of the next game. And Anthony, I think you're playing next game. If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for commenting with me today, and good luck on your next game.
Okay, thank you.
And me and Yoon, who commentated first game, will come back. We'll come back after a couple of minutes after we set up for the final game of the day. Thank you. Hi guys. We're back for the final game of the day, E7 versus Seongnam Surfers. So to give you guys some context, E7 is a team composed of sophomores from SIS, and Seongnam Surfers is a team composed of seniors from SIS. And Seongnam Surfers, in my opinion, in almost everyone's opinion, in everyone's opinion, is the strongest team from the senior class, even from the SIS as a whole. And because they made such a dream team, I think I carefully expect a blowout from the Seongnam Surfers. What do you think, you?
Well, obviously, with Seongnam Surfers having 2 platinums and 3 golds, it's gonna be pretty tough for E7 to pull it through. Like, although team chemistry, the band picks, all that, like, those are very important. But like, the tier is probably the first thing that you have to consider when we want to predict the result of the match. So obviously, I'm expecting the win from Seongnam Surfers this time, but we'll see how E7 is going to fight back with it. So it seems like the band picks are going to start pretty soon. So yeah, let's expect a fun match this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with ADC, with Christopher, the platinum as ADC, he usually likes champions that are pretty weak in the early game, but once the early game phase ends, he starts to blow out with, his crazy kiting skills and, his performance is going to be great at the late game phase. What do you think, Leo?
Oh, I mean, Dongjin is just a different breed, in my opinion, compared to all of us. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
I mean,
it feels like he's on a different. I mean, although he is listed as a platinum, like, he did not play that many solo queue games. He only played he played less than 50, I think. So that's not his real, like, legitimate tier. Like, he definitely has a potential to be even higher than that, to be even a diamond or even a master if possible. So we'll see how this goes, but there is a big gap already with the tier as well. So yeah, it seems like the band pick is going to start soon, but there seems to be a problem on the side of E7. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Sorry for your technical difficulties. I think it's going to start very soon. Okay.
Yeah, seems like E7's not in the pro draft link yet. Or are they having a technical difficulty here? Obviously we'll just have to wait until it starts. So let's talk more about the Seongnam Surfers. Although Chris with the ADC has great carry potential, I don't think Chris is going to even have a peaceful time farming in the early phase without the help from the jungle and even from the mid, with Dennis being the jungler from the gold tier and Anthony being the mid from the platinum tier. So what do you think about them?
Well, I think, like, if they only focus on Dongjin, if the enemy team only focuses on Dongjin and blocking his growth, I think they'll not succeed, because you have to acknowledge that there are other laners like Anthony, who's probably going mid, is also a platinum, or Dennis, who's probably going top, is a gold.
Okay, it seems like the ban picks have already started with
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, but it seems like it's not on the stream yet, so we'll see how this goes.
So
okay, yep, it's on. So okay, obviously they're banning Annie they're obviously targeting the champion pools from
Mhm.
Anthony. His most is probably Annie, right? And his flash alt and the stunning skills is crazy. So we'll see how this goes. And obviously banning Rek'Sai, the pumpkin bat. Pumpkin bat has shown some great potential with Rek'Sai against this in scrims against us. So I think that's what the Songnam Surfers are thinking. So I think Mastery, a very high carry potential. Malphite obviously good in team fights, and Rek'Sai very good jungling during the early phase. So I think SS has I think SS banned it pretty well. And for E7 trying to ban Riven, but unfortunately I think that was targeting more from the jungle. I mean from Dennis, but Dennis is playing jungle this time, so I don't think that Riven ban is that effective. And E7 is picking up Philios this time, and SS taking Caitlyn. What do you think about that?
Caitlyn is obviously a very strong pick, which didn't really show in the previous game. But I think, especially with if it's Chris's Caitlyn or Anthony's Caitlyn, I think it has a very high late game carry potential.
Oh, it seems like there is an error with the E7 pick.
Mm-hmm.
There. Okay. Just to clarify, the Aphelios pick is actually Vayne, so we'll have to take note of that.
Mm-hmm. And I think Vayne has an equal carry potential as Caitlyn in late game. I think Vayne even has a higher carry potential than Caitlyn in terms of very late game. However, this means that with a pick like Caitlyn, who has a very strong lane pressure, lane priority, and in contrast to Vayne, who has very low carry potential.
Okay. It seems like the Morgana pick is also there has been an error with the website again. So the Morgana pick is actually going to be Lulu. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So as of right now, the Aphelios pick is actually Vayne, and the Morgana pick is actually Lulu. So but the Lulu, like during the end game phase, is going to have extremely high carry potential, shielding Caitlyn and Zac. It's gonna be crazy during team fights. Caitlyn's gonna definitely have a good positioning because of Lulu. With her shield as well as her W. So it's gonna be hard for E7, even with Zed, to try to pop Caitlyn this time. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think there was some confusion with the communication with the Lulu ban from E7 because the Sunland servers clearly indicated that their Morgana pick was a Lulu pick. And I think the Blitzcrank ban from the Songnam Surfers was a target ban for the E7 because in the preseason where the E7 played against us, the seniors, the other team of the seniors, I think it was very clear that the Blitzcrank pick was a very good pick because he made some really good plays in general, and I think it was a really good ban from Songnam Surfers, which because Blitzcrank can be a huge X factor.
And it seems like they're going with Set this time, but I'm guessing this is going to be a Set support because Set jungle is not really a trend these days with obviously the nerf from Set, and of course they're picking Hecarim as their jungle. But the Set with recent nerf and a buff to 80 Set, it has been a huge, I guess. It showed a lot of weakness to support and jungle Set because they're obviously going with the tank build. But with obviously the nerf from Set, it's going to be hard for them to actually have much better line priority with the champion Set. So we'll see how this goes. And it seems like they're going with Ornn top and Echo jungle. Wait, actually? This is actually going to be Echo mid with Zac jungle. That's going to be interesting. So what do you think about the Echo Z matchup here then?
I think obviously late game Echo is pretty unstoppable with his ult, with his uh with his ult and with his insane damage from his passive, and however, Zed is obviously, I think, way stronger in early game with both his passive, with his ult, with his Q, etc. And I think in terms of ban picks, Echo probably is a better choice because I think the Sunlam Surfers is going very late game oriented.
Okay. It seems like there's going to be a custom game made. But looking at the team combo overall, like I think E7. Well, like looking at the E7's team comp, all of them have AD damage except Hecarim's. I don't know. But Hecarim is still an AD champion. Set is an AD champion. Zed, Camille, I feel is an AD champion. And with Orin coming out, if it gets the Tegurmang as well as the Oilgun, then it's gonna be hard for the E7 to penetrate Orin and try to get to the D line. So, this is obviously an interesting matchup, but I think SS has the advantage in terms of the ban picks as well. But obviously with the tier difference as well, I think the SS is gonna take the dub this game, but we'll definitely see how it goes. And you never know what's gonna happen in the game. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think the sophomore team obviously went with more of an early game pick, but unless Hecarim can gank very effectively, and unless the Hecarim can get early objectives using the ganks and early lane priority, I think the game's going to be very hard for the sophomore team.
And it also depends on Camille. On whether Camille will be able to penetrate Orin during the early game phase. Camille, especially during level 1, with her E, it's going to be, if he first starts with an E, then Camille will definitely have line priority with, obviously, the passive and all of her skill sets, which is very strong for a 1v1. But, from level 3 to level 6, Camille will probably have to pull the lane as Orin is actually a pretty strong champion damage because his W actually is a % damage, a true damage. So yeah, so we'll just have to see how the Camille Orin matchup goes, but it will really depend on whether it will really depend on whether Camille will be able to penetrate Orin or not.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the team comp, go on.
And I think Hecarim, if he can go to the back line for Caitlyn, and execute Caitlyn, unless he does that, I think Hecarim will be very useless in terms of late game.
Mm-hmm. But the team comp that E7 chose is definitely going to be it's definitely going to be tough for Caitlyn because obviously with Camille's ult as well as Zed's W and ult with Hecarim's ult as well, they're all skill sets that penetrate the backline of the opponent's team. So it will really depend on whether Caitlyn will be able to kind of dodge and avoid all those skills and be able to deal the damage all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's very interesting seeing Dennis Ungskunks going Orin because I never saw Dennis play a tanking champion because he only plays really strong deal champions like Riven, Kayle, Yone, which is banned, but Yasuo, those kind of Kailchen. But seeing Dennis play Orin, it's actually very interesting for me to see how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, that is very true, but Caitlyn is the only AD, so as long as they're capable, as long as the E7 is able to kind of inhibit the growth of Caitlyn with Well, but Vayne doesn't really have line priority during the early game phase. We'll have to see. But Hecarim will be also very important to see whether he'll be able to kind of inhibit the growth of Caitlyn, because obviously he's the only AD.
Mhm.
And Ornn, Zach, those two champions, they're tanks, but they also if they grow a lot, then they also are capable of dealing a lot of damage with obviously a lot of airbornes. And obviously with his with their passive, the Kawa Pyongta. So yeah, we'll have to see that.
And also, it's kind of interesting to see from the sophomore team, that they don't have a really set frontliner, because Hecarim, while he may be somewhat tanky, he's not as tanky as picks like Ornn, Maokai, etc. And Camille also isn't a tank, obviously, and Set was a good tank before, but now because of his nerfs, he's not much of an effective tanker as before. And obviously Zed and Vayne are very backliners. So I think in terms of team composition, the Reds, I give the advantage to the red side in terms of their balance between AP, AD, and tank and deal, while on the blue side, it's kind of neither that or neither this, neither tank, neither deal, because Camille is not much of a great. She's very strong in deal, but she's not as strong in deal as, for example, picks like Lucine, etc. And I think, and she's not a great tanker either late game. So let's see how this turns out.
Well, but obviously once Camille starts to snowball, like, it's gonna be very hard for the red side to kind of block that snowball, because Camilla's split is off the charts. Like, obviously her Q and her item build with Trinity Force being the first core item, like, when Camille just starts to split and goes to top or bottom, like, there isn't really a champion other than Echo to really block that. But we don't even know if Echo is gonna Echo needs a lot of time to grow. So, like, it will really depend on Camille and Hecarim. Yeah, we'll see how this goes though.
And obviously, like, I keep mentioning this, but as Chris as an ADC, I think the Red Side's composition itself is very focused on protecting Chris, because Chris consistently mentioned to us that his favorite top laner is Ornn, because of his capability to upgrade his teammates' items once he turns level 14. And once Caitlyn's items are upgraded, then she becomes basically unstoppable. And also with Lulu, who has a very strong OP shield that she, in terms of her skill set, and her ult is very effective if she gives it to the ADC.
Mm-hmm. So it's really the competition between the spear and the shield, with the blue side trying to penetrate and the red side trying to protect Caitlyn. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely an interesting matchup, and Caitlyn's spell is also pretty interesting. Like, well, obviously I don't think going cleanse would be very effective, actually. So yeah, maybe heal was the right choice for it.
We all know when the ADC chooses cleanse without rationale.
Yeah, playing with Chris as an opponent, whenever he goes cleanse, it's really tough to actually pop him. So yeah, it had been very tough, but he obviously went with the lens. He obviously went with the cleanse this time.
In terms of lane priority, I think in bot lane, Caitlyn and Lulu will have a really strong lane priority, because Vayne is a very bad laner, and Caitlyn's on the other hand is a very strong laner. But also, I think in the mid side too, because maybe of tier difference, or because of Echo's passive-ish, the lane priority will also go to the mid, in my opinion. And also, here we go with the good airborne by Dennis in his Ornn pick.
Well, I'm not really liking the play from Camille because obviously when her passive was on and she had the shield, she actually moved backwards to try to avoid an auto attack from Ornn, and that's not really a good idea because you gotta utilize the shields that you have during 1v1 fights, and he's not really doing a good job with that. So like, obviously he's not going E, and you know it's a 50-50 for Echo and Zed, but you know as time goes, Echo with his Q is definitely going to have line priority. So, oh my, okay.
But with the grasp from Ornn and Q there, the Camille isn't looking good in the deal trade.
Camille's actually having a hard time with.
But also, it's important to mention that DR Stick 1214, which I think is Andrew Park, is a Camille main. So let's see how that turns out. Well,
okay. They managed to burn the flash, but was that really effective for them?
I don't think so. The Hecarim E wasn't that good despite of the flash. And looking at the CS difference already between Vayne and Caitlyn, it shows that Vayne's a very bad laner, and Caitlyn on the other hand is a very strong laner. And Echo going in on the Hecarim.
Oh no, Hecarim is caught.
And it's probably a kill for.
Zed is coming, but you know, I don't think that's gonna be enough for.
Actually, Sundown surfaced back from that small skirmish, which is very interesting to see too. But in general, I think the jungle priority after Hecarim loses the bottom scuttle, I think the jungle priority, because the red side has both top and bottom scuttle, is gone to the red side.
Yeah, definitely, and part of that is because Ornn and Echo was able to get lane priority. Like that was also the reason why Echo was able to come first to during that small fight down the riverside at the bottom. So you know, like that's really another example of how important lane priority is. Whether the mid champion is able to join the fight first or not.
And it seems that Zach, the red team jungler, is taking a bottom route, probably noticing the dragon coming up really soon, and I think he's trying to take the first dragon.
Yeah, one thing that we have to notice is that Zach is actually not getting any pressure from Hecarim. Well, although Hecarim isn't a very good jungler from level 1 to 3, like it's not really good news for Blue side to hear that Zach isn't getting any pressure, and you know, you obviously know how strong Zach is going to be during team fights with all of his skills having a CC except his W. So,
and I still see a huge difference between the ball lane, the two ADCs and the ball lane. Oh, what an E by Camille though. Oh, but what a W by Dennis. He didn't get stunned by the Camille E because he W'd and W'd, so what a play by Dennis. And the Echo goes in with an E, and flash, and Zed flashes away, which is probably a good trade for the red side again. And very early in the game, we see almost a 2k, 1.5k gold difference, which is huge in early game. So I don't feel good about the blue team, to be completely honest. And Zed ults there, but Echo has the other has his ult, but no kill there. So I think it was a pretty good back from Zed.
yeah, talking about the matchup between Zed and Echo, like Zed is really a champion that really has to oh, okay, with Zach and Ornn. Okay.
Nice. And
Wow, the CC combo between Zach and Ornn was mad, with obviously Ornn's ult and Zach's Q. Oh, I mean, Zach and Ornn was supposed to be a pick that was probably going to be weak during the early game phase, but as you can see with Camille and Hecarim losing against Ornn and Zach, I don't really see a way for the blue team to win this game now.
And unless Vayne suddenly starts to eat a lot, or see Caitlyn, and suddenly gets unstoppable like she's supposed to be in super late game, I don't see a way for the blue side to win. I think from even the start of the game, the tier difference is clearly depicted, especially with the CS, the objective difference, the cover-up difference. Oh, but look at the Zed coming roaming to the
But
bottom.
Zed doesn't have an ult right now, so I'm not really sure how that's gonna be. And obviously with the red side having a ward in the bush down there, obviously backs off, and Zed has wasted another turn this time. And you know,
they're
obviously
looking
Echo
for-
pushing mid lane and coming back.
And there's a dragon there, but I think Hecarim tried to take it, but just backs, which was, in my opinion, a very smart move, because obviously, if Echo and Caitlyn comes to cover up the dragon pit, then they're probably going to be cornered in the dragon pit.
Okay,
Okay, but a good stun by Echo and a good ult by Echo, but a TP from Camille, I think, or from Orin and Camille.
Camille also comes in just to assist.
Airborne by Dennis.
With a double airborne. Is Camille gonna die from this? Oh, okay. He barely survives, but you know, but at this point, like, Orin can basically do anything right now. With obviously the Tumbujoki as well as Pamyabushi. You know, it's gonna be pretty hard for the blue side, obviously with an all AD team comp. They're really gonna have a hard time trying to parasite Orin.
And if Orin just builds, as you said, maybe defense and Zac too, and maybe Caitlyn in late game, the team comp in general was very bad for the drafting in general was very bad for Team Blue.
Yeah.
And a flash away from Orin. I think he kind of overstepped there with trying to take the turret gold, but still he gets away healthy, even though his flash, he used his flash.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much. Obviously, knowing that he didn't really have mana during that phase, like, you know, I think he tried to step it over a little bit, knowing that they already have a really big CS lead and a gold lead with 2 kills. And you know, obviously, although Zac isn't a very good early jungler, he has managed to get the first dragon against Hecarim, which is definitely a plus for the red side. And you know, it also seems like, knowing that Orin is a lot stronger than Camille right now, and Echo being stronger, as you can see, Zed is getting all the pressure, but I'm not really sure how that's going to help with Zed not having an ult. But getting stunned by Echo's W, and it seems like Hecarim had to use the ult out. Yeah, that's really bad news for Hecarim. Like, Hecarim's ult is super important for penetrating the backline of the red side, but obviously Echo pressing back now. It seems like his first item is going to be Zanya. And I'm really liking that idea, knowing that it's an all AD competition, and from the bot lane, Vayne is having a really hard time even trying to get near the turret.
And I think I'm not sure. I think Echo's also going oh, never mind. I thought Echo was going a different build, but I think he is going Zanya's. And also I think Caitlyn, after he gets his first core, will be unstoppable. Unstoppable to the other team, because her damage will spike really high after she gets her first core. And now she has a bounty just from her CS lead, which she has a 70 CS lead. If I'm asking.
Wow, Vayne with 35 CS. Like, although Caitlyn definitely has a higher lane priority, it's really Vayne's fault for having only 35 CS in 12 minutes. Like, okay, now they're trying to get Orin out of it. Oh, they managed.
Oh, what a play!
Oh my god, Orin actually manages to kill Hecarim there.
The Orin's going back in with the Zac's counter gank. Zac with a Q airborne, and Zac goes back in with a flash ult. And will that succeed? The Camille gets away healthy, but she goes back in. Okay.
Yeah, like at this point, Ornn's gonna be unstoppable now. He's getting another core item when he's going back. And as you can see, although Zach doesn't have any kills, Zach is also getting a 150 gold bounty. And now, except Lulu, everybody has a bounty. It's pretty interesting. And in only 12, oh, and Caitlyn actually manages to kill Camille. I mean, Camille really had to know that Caitlyn wasn't Caitlyn's ult.
Oh, and
Now they're trying to get Echo out of it.
Echo.
Echo?
Echo flashes away, but ult's back.
Oh, it goes
and
in.
It's passive. Oh, Echo still backs with the ignite on him. But still, Zach managed to kill off the set, and this is a huge advantage as now they get the Herald on mid. And Hector.
Oh no, Chris again.
Is Chris? Oh, what a play by
Wow.
Chris.
I mean, first of all, although Hecarim is gonna be very good in Bruce fights, like in
Close
when
combats.
Caitlyn really can't do anything when the champion just gets up on her. But obviously knowing that Caitlyn has a kill with 126 CS compared to Hecarim's 72 CS, and also there was a level difference. Caitlyn was level 8 while the jungle was level 7. So knowing that, I don't think it was a good idea for Hecarim to even just fight in the first place. I think Hecarim really had to farm a little bit more, and it seems like Zach is trying to have a sneak attack, but obviously with 3 people coming in, he has to. And now he seems like he's getting the bottom scuttle.
To be honest, Yoon, I don't see a way for Blueside to win at this point. Oh, but come on!
Oh, but now he's trying to.
Caitlyn, but still Caitlyn. With the Lulu ult, gets away healthy, and Caitlyn's on fire right now. Probably a pentakill. Is this a pentakill from Caitlyn?
Wow, this actually has the potential to be a pentakill. Michael coming in. Michael takes the double kill from it. Wow. Well, I'm really curious about what Chris is gonna say at that moment. I mean, they definitely had a chance to kill everyone, regardless of what they did. So why not just give the kill to Caitlyn? But obviously now they're taking this. They already got the second turret in just 15 minutes, and that's crazy.
I'm
they
very
already have
I'm very curious of the Vayne's tier because he ate 458 CS in 15 minutes, meaning he ate 3 CS per minute, which is probably an Ironist play.
Wow, Ornn is just tanking that 4v1 right there, and he doesn't seem to die. Oh, finally, the support gets to kill the Ornn. But
I think that'll start from the miss ult by Ornn, if in his second ult when he smashes into his own into his horse. He didn't hit anyone, which led to him not airborning anyone, which led to his death. Yeah,
but I'm really curious about Set's item build. Set's support definitely has to go tank, knowing that he won't be able to get that much gold. But his first core item is actually Ruku. So Chirigi Arnaldo, which is definitely a deal item, which doesn't really fit Set. But I get what Andrew's thinking because of the nerf from tank set and the buff from 80 sets. He might have thought that going with more of a deal item build would be better, but I'm not really sure about that.
I actually think because of the nerf that Set got when he built tank was too significant. I think it's a good build to start. I think it was a good idea from Set to start with Black Cleaver because that build provides him with a lot of deal damage while also somewhat tanking, which might be very good for his team in general because it doesn't seem like they have a great dealer, to be honest. And
I really don't see a way for although they might be able to get Caitlyn, you know, there's no way for them to penetrate that wall of Zac and Ornn.
And also, if Caitlyn dies, Echo's almost as strong as Caitlyn right now at this point. So I don't see a way for.
Okay, now they're trying to do something, but Echo ults, but he can't get out of the Camille's ult. And he's just trying to get one, but that wasn't enough, and Hecarim gets the bouncy. But I'm not really sure how that is going to help. And obviously with the red side getting the turret from the top, it's not really a bad trade because, you know, they're obviously trading a turret for the one champion. But
I think that was a definite overstep from the Echo because if you look at the mini-map, there aren't much vision in the bottom red side CS, red side jungle. And yet Echo still tried to push the bottom tower, which was in my opinion a bit of an overstep, but obviously despite his overstep, it didn't really affect the game as a whole.
yeah, now with Caitlyn already having a second core, having her second core, you know, it's gonna be hard. Like they're really gonna have a hard time trying to withstand all the deals from Caitlyn. And Zac is trying to do something, but Lulu's shield is just too much for them to handle.
Exactly.
You know, like I think they did a really good job of putting Chris with 1 AD, knowing that Chris is definitely going to have high carry potential. You know, like regardless of whatever happens in the early game phase, like even if he gets like 2 deaths during the early game phase, all he's going to do is just farm for like the next 15 minutes, and now he'll be back to normal. So, you know, definitely going with 2 tanks, 1 AP, 1 AD was a good idea. And obviously with Lulu supporting the survival of Caitlyn, it's going to be hard. Oh, now Ornn and Zed is meeting, but Zed managed to get out of that with his W.
But I'm, to be honest, more than the game, I'm interested to see Dennis's reaction or Dennis's voice when people told him to pick Ornn, because I don't believe it was Dennis's choice to play Ornn. To be honest, thinking about his personality, his playing style, but I think it was a great pick from Dennis to pick Ornn, as now he's pretty much unkillable.
Yeah, obviously, that's probably the importance of team communication and teamwork. You know, like although Dennis has his playing style, like just from this game, he just showed us that he is capable of playing tank champs, and he is capable of kind of bringing the team together and really trying to pick champions for the team, not just for himself. And obviously, Caitlyn ulting just to give some more damage. And you know, with Ornn standing in the front line, it's gonna be hard for them to really break that line. Oh, it seems like
that blast cone.
Wow.
What
Zed was just trying to kill Hecarim, and Hecarim manages to get out with his ult. But you know, they can't do anything.
Whoa!
Tries to ult.
Zed stole the
Oh,
dragon.
Zed actually steals the dragon. What was Michael doing there? Oh, Michael didn't have the smite yet. Wow.
What a steal from Zed. A good play from Zed.
I mean, that will only buy them time for like a couple of minutes. And it seems like Ornn is caught, but Zac is trying to help them. And with Lulu and Caitlyn coming, 3-man airborne, they have to get out of there. You know, it was definitely a wrong choice for them to go all AD.
Yes.
I mean, knowing that they picked Ornn first, didn't they?
Yep.
I mean, didn't they pick Ornn first? Wow, they really had to. I mean, they really had to step it up during the fan phase. Like knowing that Ornn and Zac, if they go just with an AD defense build, like there's no way that they're gonna penetrate them. And you know, obviously Zac trying to go Camilla there, and Zac gets another kill there. 504. He's having a perfect game so far, along with Lulu and Caitlyn. And I think this rampage is going to go on until the end of the game. Hecarim tried to do something, but it's not really effective.
This is such a massacre.
Yeah, this is a complete disaster with already a 14k global gold difference and 8 turrets compared to 1, and obviously we can see Zac going in again, and wow.
Caitlyn is just too strong in the back line. This is just...
I mean, the chemistry between Zach and Orange is just off the charts, and the deal from Caitlyn.
and the Echo.
Camille tries to get the ult, but it's not going to be very effective.
And I think they're in the
Echo tries to go in, but with Lulu's W and Caitlyn's auto attacks, there's no way that he's going to survive in the middle of the fight there.
Nope.
And it seems like the game is over with 16-2. I mean, I get their team calm, trying to get the back line and penetrate, kill Caitlyn. Allstead tries to do something, but that is not enough to kill Caitlyn.
It's almost a 20k goal difference, and GG.
Yep, GG.
Ah.
Wow, the game ended in 23 minutes. I think that was the shortest game that we had so far.
Mm-hmm. And let's
Wow,
look
but
at
looking at the deal, Vayne's deal is...
Oh man,
Vayne did less deal than Lulu, and all...
Wait.
Can we see the exact numbers of Vayne's deal again, please? 835 damage.
That's pretty interesting from the E7 team and the Vayne choice. Like I mentioned, it's...
Well, like, we get that Vayne doesn't have a very strong early game, but, you know, getting only 30 CS in 12 minutes, you know, that really can't... Yeah, getting 35 CS in 12 minutes really won't let the team go until to the end. So,
who do you think the MVP here is?
I mean, we obviously got to give it to Caitlyn this time. You know, having a perfect game, despite the team comp of Camille, Zed, and Hecarim, which are all designed to go to the back line and penetrate and kill the ADC. You know, Caitlyn did a really good job of keeping the distance between those champions and, you know, really using and managing her spells very well during team fights. And, you know, obviously with getting 26,000 damage on the other opponents, you know, like, I don't think there's a reason to not pick Caitlyn in this case. What do you think?
I mean, starting from the draft, starting from the ban picks, the game was pretty on the side of the red side, and the Vayne pick was very questionable. The Hecarim pick was also, in my opinion, also very questionable, especially acknowledging the fact that they had no AP damage.
Yeah, I mean, as I said again, we get their calm trying to go to the back line, but they really couldn't do anything after the 2v2 fight up at the Riverside at top. So, you know, Ornn definitely praises up to Ornn and Zach for being really solid and getting the kills at the top side. But, you know, obviously in the end, Caitlyn for obviously not allowing Vayne to get any CS. And we'll probably have to give Caitlyn the MVP in this case. So...
Now let's wait for Chris, who was Caitlyn, to get on the Discord call. Yeah,
now we will just have to wait until Caitlyn comes to the interview channel. Okay, hello Chris. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So, like, first of all, great win. Could you just briefly introduce yourself and how you felt about the game this time?
Yeah, so I'm a senior currently attending Seoul International School, and this game I think it was pretty close, and our team overall did very well. Just everyone did their roles, and they showed some sort of super play throughout the course of the game, so I think that led us to the victory of this game.
The classic Dongjin statement. The team did well.
No, but
Well,
Ornn and Zach chemistry and the Echo and Lulu, they all did their necessary roles.
Yeah. Asking a question about the ban phase. You know, obviously Dennis is a top who plays a lot of champions that really pressure during early game, like Riven or I don't know, but all those Kachen. But of this game, it was pretty interesting to see Dennis go top with Ornn. So what was going there? Like, was it Dennis's idea or was it team's idea?
So basically, we were trying to build some sort of team composition, and I think just Dennis wanted to play top laner that could have, and he showed to the public that he's able to beat champions like Camille even with tank champions like Ornn. So I think this is his chance to prove his abilities in just various different types of champions like tanks and Karcham, as you said, like Ribbon.
So I guess you're saying he chose Ornn because he wanted to show off his champion pool.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say because his performance was extremely good because he actually won a 2v1 and he's just laning phase was overall pretty dominant against the Camille.
Yeah, so now talking about the opponent's team comp, with obviously Zed, Camille, Set, and Hecarim, which are all champions that go to the backline and penetrate, and is definitely going to target the ADC. Like, what did you first think about their team comp, and how did you manage to get out of all that and have a perfect game?
I was wondering why their comp was all AD because we have Ornn and Zac, which are just basically tanks, and they can just build full armor and counter those champions. But their picks were pretty questionable, and because we were pretty dominant in the bottom lane, I think I was able to survive like Hecarim ulti and Zac ulti and all those assassins trying to go through the tank lines to kill me.
I guess our last question now is, since you have both semis and potentially a finals game tomorrow, what's your kago going into these two games?
So I hope to win the semifinals tomorrow, and I think our team will show a good performance as well because our team chemistry is really good, and we have been preparing a surprise for some of the teams. So I think you guys can look forward to what we have prepared for you guys.
Oh wait, can I actually ask you a final question before I let you go?
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, the average tier for the team is usually around silver or even bronze, but your team depth has 2 platinums and 3 golds. So don't you think this is a little bit of a balance break in terms of the tier and the overall
I
performance
think,
that they have?
Silver and like bronze players are perfectly capable of playing against platinum players because there is not much of a difference as we try to associate like 부실골프, like that kind of thing. So I think we're all similar in skill, and yeah, the game shouldn't have been that dominant, but I think just there were some internal like issues going on in the opponent's team.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris, and well-deserved MVP.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
So that is a wrap for today's games, and obviously with Nightly getting a bye, tomorrow there's going to be a semifinals game going on simultaneously between Night League and Go Next. Go Next, right? Yeah, Night League and Go Next, and another game of Sungnam Surfers and SKT-T1. So we're only able to stream one game, but the fun thing is, although the semifinals is a single elimination game, the finals is going to be the best of 3. So we'll definitely see how this goes. Thank you so much for watching today's game. It has been super fun commentating and watching the game at the same time. Thank you so much, and I'm thinking that's a wrap for today, right?
Yep, it's a wrap for today. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and see you tomorrow on tomorrow's stream.